Ooh, let's see. Let's share. Copy. All right. Good morning, guys. Happy Sunday. I hope you guys are doing well and having a good day. Just give me 1 minute. About to share this live out to a few people who asked me to. Just gonna do that really quickly, and then 1 second. There we go. All right. I think that's good. All right, awesome. How are you all? Good. Actually, it's not morning. Good afternoon. I'm usually either on mornings or evenings, so I'm always like, good. It's good morning. It's a good evening. It's a good afternoon. But happy Sunday, guys. I hope you're having a good start to your day. You had a good weekend so far, that it's going well. You were able to rest, get some creative stuff done, some writing done. Those of you who are in the Discord, hopefully you were able to work on your assignments, which, don't forget, are due tonight by midnight, or I should say by 11:59 p.m. because sometimes people think midnight and they're like, oh, midnight, but it's the next day. So hopefully you guys were able to do that. I apologize for not getting to you in the Discord just yet. I've had a lot of day job stuff that's taken over, so I will be going over your discussion posts over the next couple of days, so don't worry. I've been skimming them and seeing them because I'm really proud of you guys. I've been reading them and seeing your inspiration for your story and your writing, and it's making me really proud to see what you guys are doing in the Discord. So I will be responding to all of your Discord messages over the next couple of days. I'll let you know what I've seen, just kind of give you encouragement and feedback, because like I said, these discussion posts are not really meant to be right or wrong. They're really meant for you to reflect on your writing, on your path, and things to help you. Hi, Lisa. How are you? It's good to see you. Hey, Yellow. How are you? It's good to see all of you. Hey, Sherry. Hey, Vanessa. Queen Vanessa. I feel like I always got to say Queen Vanessa because I don't want to take away your queendom. I feel like you have to be called Queen. Hey, Wendy. How are you? How are you guys doing today? Are you guys feeling good about today? Are you feeling good about your post? Let me know. And let me know if you guys put your post in there, because I know some of you have different names on here than you do on the Discord. So if you posted, let me know, because I won't be able to correlate your names to your Discord posts. So let me know what you guys have been doing, what you've been posting, what you've been writing, if you got your assignment done, what you feel about it, because we're going to be talking about those. And today's going to be a fun day because I'm going to actually show you guys how you can utilize your assignments when you get stuck, and the assignments that I give you, and how you're going to check yourself. Because remember, I told you guys you're going to self-check yourself and self-analyze your work, and you're probably like, how are we going to do that? Well, today we're going to talk about how you're going to self-analyze your work and your writing and reflect on it and know how you can improve on it. So I'm going to actually show you how to do that for the assignments and how to use ChatGPT effectively to help you do that. So we're going to do that today, and I'm going to show you guys how to do that because, like I tell you, ChatGPT is a great tool, but that's what it is, a tool. You shouldn't just use it for writing and things like that. You should use it for things in the back end to help you guys get back to what you do best, which is writing. So I'm definitely going to show it. You should, oh good, you posted, yeah. You know what? I remember you saying you're Lisa, so awesome. I think I responded to you in the, right, I liked your intro. So I've been liking everyone's intros too, so I'm glad you posted, Lisa. So you're Lemons Girl 83. Okay. I'll try to remember your guys' other names in there too. And if you guys can tell me your name when you do your intros in the actual introduction so I can correlate, that way I can connect to you when you guys come on here and I'll be like, oh, okay, that's your name on there. So awesome. I love that name, by the way, Lisa. That's so cool. Where did you get that nickname? That's so cool. I said Lemons Girl. It's Lennon's Girl. Sorry. Is that from John Lennon? Is that what that is? Lennon's Girl? John Lennon? That's so cool. I just got that. I don't know why I was saying lemon. I told you guys I'm blind as a bat. The words come together and it looks like lemon. Lennon's Girl. I see it. I see it. I just caught myself. Forgive me. I was like, wait a minute. That's not lemon. That has too many letters in it. Forgive me. I'm sorry, Lisa. I'm so sorry. Oh, this is from John Lennon. Okay, awesome. I love that. That is so cool. So you're a Beatles fan, or just Lennon. Because some people are Beatles fans, and then some people are individual Beatles fans, and are not full Beatles fans. So that's so cool. That shows you definitely get inspiration from music. So I love that. So cool. Awesome. Okay. So I know the rest of you, were you able to post your discussion posts? Were you able to feel comfortable about it? Both? Awesome. That's so cool. All right. Awesome. I'm going to have to start using music analogies for our storytelling, especially for you poets, because here's what people don't realize. I mean, you may think about it, but some of you may not, but poetry is just music without, it's lyrics without the music, right? So that's how I see poetry. Poetry is very musical and lyrical, but it doesn't have the rhythm and the beats behind it to, add the sound to it. And I think that's why beat poetry is so positive and so inspirational to people who are poets, because they use music to go with their poetry too, right? So I think if you think of your poems as music without lyrics, as you're writing it, it feels more magical and more flowy in how you're writing it. So I definitely recommend it for sure. Hey, Lisa. Yes. Okay, good. You were able to post in there too. I'm so proud of you guys. Oh my gosh. I'm so happy that you guys were able to do stuff in the chat and interact in there. So I'm so proud of you guys. And thank you for the gifts, Eliza. I appreciate it. You use beat poetry on your phone as if you're jamming. Oh, I love that, Wendy. That's so cool. That's awesome. I know they have this, beat poetry contest. I don't think it may have been Russell Simmons, but there was a beat poetry contest. I don't know if they still have it, but I used to show little clips from it for my classes so they can see how powerful the beat poetry was from young people and how from the young community and how they were using beat poetry. And oh my gosh, the stories that these kids are telling, you're like, wow, you're living an adult life as a teenager, and you can see it through their poetry. So I definitely recommend, I think Russell Simmons was one of the beat poetry ones that did it, and I feel like there was another one that I showed them too. I gotta remember, because I kept all the videos, so I'll have to go back in the videos and share it. A lot of the videos that I shared with my students that helped them with creative processes and helped them with their storytelling, I'm gonna start sharing that to you guys in the Discord too, so you can have it and be able to see it. Hey Mercedes, how are you? It's good to see you. It gives you a way to talk to yourself and not feel crazy. I love that. I also love that. And Lisa, you have your blurb? Oh my, okay, so I'm cheering all of you guys. I'm so proud of you guys. You guys are doing so well. I'm so happy that you guys are growing and learning and doing things. And today I'm going to add on that and show you how you can utilize the instructions and the assignments to help you do well without doing like what I tell you, putting your actual content in ChatGPT. Because I tell you guys all the time, just be careful with that, because if you're going to traditionally publish or you're going to submit to agents or anything like that, you want to make sure you're not putting your actual creative content in ChatGPT. So instead of doing that, I'm actually going to show you guys creative ways of how you can get inspiration and things to help you. I also am going to recommend, because I told you guys in the resources about this website that is really helpful when you're trying to write your stories, and I shared it with the chat, not yesterday, I think Friday night when I came on, and so I want to make sure you guys are using it, because it's really powerful and really helpful when it comes to, here we go, when it comes to actual generators and examples for plots and characterizations. So write this website down, guys. I'm going to give it to you. I'm going to say it a few times so you have it. So get a pen and paper or write it on your phone, put it somewhere so you can have it, and add it to your list of resources, because I think it's really helpful when you guys get stuck with character names, character ideas, plot ideas. They have generators on here that can help you get kind of content flowing so you can get like inspiration. So the website is called Writing Exercises, all one word, Writing Exercises.co.uk. Again, it's Writing Exercises.co.uk. All right, Writing Exercises.co.uk. And I'm going to pull this out so you can see it. Don't let me. Come on, pull it out. You can dismiss it. No, I have the class thing tonight. Alright, so when you get there, you'll see this. Let me turn this around so I don't forget. So right here, do you guys see that? So there are different things to help me with plot development, with character development, with different things to help you with poetry. And it's really a great resource that I learned about actually through my fellow teachers, instructors at Full Sail. And so it can really help you with names, with dialogue, with things to get your mind going And this is actually what I'm going to show you how ChatGPT can help you too, because again, you don't want to just take what it gives you and run with it, but it's meant to just give you inspiration when you get stuck and when you have writer's block. So I mentioned before, when you have writer's block, write out a chronological order, immerse yourself in other things, but also think about using generators and websites as resources to help you too. Don't just sit there and wait for inspiration to come to you. That's just wasting time, right? So instead of wasting time staring at your screen or staring at your paper and just feeling like you're failing at writing, don't feel like a failure at writing. Instead, I want you to be inspired by the things around you, so when you get to writing, you have a whole bunch of resources and tools and ideas to pull from. That's why I'm telling you guys to fill your mind with different things like music and movies and TV shows and books and all the things that connect to you, right? And I'm glad we mentioned music earlier, because one thing that I didn't tell you guys, and some of you may have heard it, I think I mentioned it once, but when you go to a movie and you hear a soundtrack and the soundtrack's amazing, think about downloading that soundtrack or listening to that soundtrack to connect to the kind of story that you write, because that's going to help kind of give you kind of like a movie background play to what you're writing. Not just a soundtrack with vocals, because a lot of times what will happen is most movies will have two different kinds of albums. They have the albums with the actual voice of the singers who are singing the core songs, and they'll have an instrumental one of all the scores, right? I recommend the scores, because if you're like me, when you hear songs and you know the lyrics and you start singing to it, you kind of distract yourself. So that's why I listen to K-pop and music that, if I listen to musical lyrics, it's lyrics that I don't understand because I don't sing along with it as much. I may hum to it, but I'm not going to be as distracted by it because it doesn't have lyrics that I'm connecting to. So I recommend that for sure. Hey, Rao, how are you? Hi guys, how are you doing? I'm so glad you all are coming in. Hey, Talana. And thanks for the gifts. Not a burner. I think it's not a burner. I hope I'm saying that right. I'm always horrible at abbreviations, but I know abbreviations are really popular and usernames. But you would think, English professor, you can figure it out. I'm horrible at Pictionary, by the way. You would think again, come on, you can do this. Nope, horrible at Pictionary. People be writing stuff and drawing things, and I'm like, I don't know what that is. Thank you for sharing my life, Phenomika. You're so awesome. Scores are your favorite Star Wars. Oh yeah, that's a good example. The Star Wars soundtrack and their scores. Oh my gosh, that's a good one, right? And I know, like I said, I know some people don't really like Twilight or hate Twilight and things like that. But here's the thing. Although like Twilight for me was okay, like I thought it was decent. I wasn't upset by it. I thought it was a good add to the supernatural world. I absolutely loved the soundtrack even more. The soundtrack from Twilight, I was like, this soundtrack's awesome, because I love Paramore and Linkin Park, and they both were on that first soundtrack, so I was all over that soundtrack. So whenever you go to a movie and you love the music, because keep in mind, the music is what enhances your movie and TV going experience, because it's the background to what you're seeing. So it's taking you on an emotional ride by using the musical scores to go up and down, and emotional, just like I tell you guys you do in your books. You're taking your reader on an up and down conflict journey, because you have to make sure they're consistently reading, right? They can't always be at the high conflict, and they can't always be low down and nothing happening. You have to be able to take them on a journey that flows up and down, so they feel like they're on a roller coaster ride, and a ride that they don't want to get off of. So in order to make sure that happens, you want to be consistent in how you're telling that story. So having a background of music behind you, having your soundtrack. And what's cool about having a soundtrack, guys, is when you're ready to publish your book, did you know readers actually love when you have a playlist to your book? You can say, this is my playlist for this book. When I was writing this book, these are the songs that I was listening to, or these are the songs that match these characters and connect with them. And it's another shared post that you can use for engagement online in your social media. So I think scores and things are so awesome. Hi, Kimberly. How are you? Auntie Kim is here. It's so good to see you. I'm glad you're here. Don't forget to let me know when you go live next time so I can come and support you. I'll try to see if I can go live with you, so we can do a live together too. Thanks for the follow, Belle. Hi, Sin. How are you guys doing? It's so good to see all of you today. Hey, Cosmic Journey. Thank you for sending the love. I appreciate that. You love the soundtrack for 50 Shades of Grey, even though you never saw that movie. Oh my gosh. I love that. Yeah, the soundtrack was even... and I would even say all of the soundtracks from all four, I think they did 4 movies? Did they do 3 or 4? I can't remember. Because I know each one always breaks this last one into 2, which is always, Harry Potter did that, Twilight did that. They break the last one into 2 books. But anyway, all the soundtracks from the 50 Shades of Grey movies were amazing. I loved all of them. I thought they were cool. And they both had the romantic feel. And I thought it was interesting because each song kind of took it to the next level of like the relationship in the series. So I think whoever did the soundtrack really did well for the storytelling and the background in the series, right? If you guys have seen the one where they got married, the background music for that was Haley Steinfeld's. And she does like Up and Up We Go, and they're going around traveling and you know, making love and all this stuff too. But it's kind of cool how it's like, it really shows the intimacy of the relationship as you're listening to the music too, right? So it's so cool to see that. Hey Bookworm, you wish you could write a novel that would attract readers. You can! You absolutely can. And all of you, like I tell you guys, wherever you are in your writing process, alright, listen to me carefully because I know all of you are at different levels. Some of you are new, some of you are experienced, some of you have never written anything in your life and you've always wanted to be a writer. You can still write a story that readers love. I don't care what level you're at. I don't care the first time you've written or if you've written for years. You can write stories readers love and stories you love too, because I think both are equally important. Because if you don't love what you're writing, you're going to stop. You're going to hate it. It's going to feel like another job. I don't want you guys to feel like writing is another job and another chore. That's the last thing I want for you guys. Instead, I want you to feel it as almost like journaling, like a release, right? But it's even more so than just journaling because now you're interacting with characters, you're talking with them, you're learning about them, you're growing different worlds and different experiences. If you're doing poetry, you're tapping into your inner emotions and sharing that with other people. If you're doing nonfiction, you're tapping into your experiences and sharing that with other people. Writing is meant to be an enjoyable experience, a joyful experience, I should say. And yes, it can be challenging. Yes, it can be frustrating. Sometimes you're going to want to like stab your pen or throw your computer against the wall because you hate it. But it's not because you hate writing. It's just because we get frustrated with writer's block. We get frustrated because we're so exhausted and we want to spend more time with our writing and we can't. There's so many reasons why we get frustrated with our writing. And that is perfectly fine for you to get frustrated with your writing in the process and even hate what you're writing. But don't stay there because like I tell you guys, we're the worst critics when it comes to thinking about, hey, will this sell? Will this do well? You won't know until you publish it. You won't know until you share it with the world. So that's why you want to create the best content you can, write the best story you possibly can, learn from other people, and not just me guys, learn from other people out there who are going to help you with learning the craft, learning how to develop your storytelling techniques, learning from other people in your field, learning how they write so you can see how readers enjoy their writing style so you can develop your own. All of this is part of the learning process to help you become a better writer. So no matter where you are, no matter what level you are, I promise you, you can always be better at writing. All right. We all start somewhere. Now, people like to think, oh, you're born a writer. I feel like you can be born a singer because there's some singers in church who never have any experience. I'm like, you were born to do that. But you don't have to be born to write. You can learn to write and still become a great writer. Some people can have flow naturally and it comes to them naturally, but I think writing is one of those things that you have to learn and dive into, especially as a reader first, because that's how we started. We all started as readers first. We loved reading books and reading different worlds and different experiences, and then we were like, oh, I would love to do this myself. I think I could write a book. I would love to create worlds, and I would love to create stories. I would love to create poems, and that's how we got on the journey, right? So you have to remember, no matter where you're starting, yes, you may be starting in a beginner level. It may not be the best writing in the world, but you have to start somewhere. And the more you write, the more you keep putting in the work, keep putting in the time to write your stories and build your writing, catalog, you will grow as a writer. I promise you. There's no like falling backwards the more you write. The more you write, the more you learn. And actually you learn more by writing than by learning from other people. Yes, you learn from other people. You learn from craftsmen. You learn from teachers like me. But you will learn more the more you write and the more you create, because it's a process. And the more you're in that process, the more you will grow and be stronger as a writer. So I definitely think you guys are all going to be good writers for sure. I promise you. Let's see. Hi, Goddess. How are you? How is class going for everyone? How are you guys feeling so far? Let me know. Thank you guys for the gifts. I appreciate it. Thank you, Goddess. Hasten, a friend of yours was a music executive, and you proposed doing an LP for your audiobook. That is awesome. That's so cool. I think that's amazing. Like, I wish people realize how music intertwines with writing so much, right? We get inspiration from different places, and I've told you guys many times, movies and TV shows and all these things, but music so much, even so while you're writing, because you get these ideas, you get these things that come to you because you're hearing other people's work and other people's art and craft, and it's kind of helping you become a better creative because you're learning from other creatives and hearing other creatives and being inspired by them at the same time. So it can really help to have those music plays in the background. So that's so cool. That's awesome. I love that. I love that for you guys. Thank you for the donuts and the gifts, Cleo. I appreciate you. You only write fan fiction, Bookworm. As encouraging as friends are, you don't know how to turn it into an original story. Okay, that is a good question. So here's the thing. 'Cause I know a few of you do come from a fanfic background, and that is a really good question. Here's what I recommend. Now, keep in mind, 50 Shades of Grey started as fanfic for Twilight, and then she pulled all the Twilight stuff out and turned it into her own story, right? Here's what I recommend when it comes to fanfic, because I don't want you guys to ever get in trouble for intellectual property or things like that. I don't think you should take your fanfic and then transfer it over into something brand new by taking the stuff out. The reason why I say this is because fanfic still has a place for your readers too, right? They love it, they upvote it and things like that, and you guys share it. And it also helps you become a better writer because you're still writing. Yes, it's not your original worlds, you're building up other people's worlds and creative influences, but you're still writing, you're still creating, right? Here's what I would say. Rather than creating that story and saying, hey, I'm going to make this into a story that's mine and pull it out and create something, separate from that fan fiction world, try to create another story that mimics it, but does not take the intellectual property of the other person. So what I'm saying is, act like you're writing almost like a sequel to your fan fiction, and don't have those characters that are connected to the real worlds, to the other things, and try to start new and create your own thing. So for example, try to swap things out. For example, like if I was doing Supernatural, I love Supernatural, right? Let's say instead of having two brothers who fight, evil and chase ghosts and, hunt demons, I would say, hey, I'm going to make them two female cousins. Right? Or I'll make them one brother and one sister, or I'll change it so it's not like it's an exact replica of Supernatural, but I'm gaining inspiration from it and I'm finding my own storytelling experience. So that's what I would recommend. That way you're not just using someone like Sam and Dean or, their own, interactions with the angels and the demons. You're trying to do your own thing, and then you're going into another direction by using your own inspirational influences, right? So I would say, if you can, try to create something new, but use your fanfiction as inspiration for that. Kind of like you did with fanfiction. You used the original stories as inspiration to write the fanfic, right? Now you're going to use your fanfic as inspiration to write a brand new story that still connects to it, but now it's your own. This way you guys are protecting yourselves and not pulling content from other people's worlds and getting into legal trouble because you don't want to do that, right? And I'm sure, because E.L. James, people don't realize it, but she was actually she was in the movie industry before then. She actually was like an executive and a producer and stuff like that. So she probably had someone who helped her pull the content out so she didn't get in trouble with Stephanie Meyer. So you may not have someone who can help you actually pull the content out that's intellectual so you won't get in trouble. So to save you from all that trouble of trying to say what's hers and what's mine, or what do I do to make sure I don't get in trouble with using fan fiction, start a brand new story, use your fan fiction as inspiration, and then build on that to create a brand new world and a brand new content and brand new mythologies, brand new backgrounds, brand new storytelling experiences, and that will help you actually learn how to learn from your own writing and grow from your own writing too, because you're now doing the same thing a lot of authors do. They read their earlier work and they build off that to become stronger writers. So I would recommend that if you're going to do that for sure. Hey Katie, it's so good to see you. Happy Sunday to you too. Thank you for the follow, Angel. Like I know you dropped class. The intentions became something different. You're okay. You're okay. Keep in mind, guys, you're not going to get in trouble if you don't finish the homework, if you have to drop class for some reason or you get overwhelmed. This is just meant to be a fun experience for you guys over the next 8 weeks. It's not meant to be so serious where you're like, oh my gosh, I'm going to fail this class. I don't want you guys to see this as a regular college class because of the fact that a regular college class can be really stressful. It can be really hindering. It can feel like you're going crazy sometimes. And instead of this being a college class where you can kind of like feel like, oh my gosh, I'm so overwhelmed. I have to get an A. I have to get an A. This is another reason why I'm not grading you guys on your work. I don't want you to feel like you have to strive for an A. Rather than that, I want you to strive for the best writing you can do on your own self-reflections and your own self-analysis. I will be here to give you tips. Each week I'm going to tell you things to help you learn how to analyze your writing, how to see if you're growing and getting better. I'm going to help you guys along the way. I'm not going to be anywhere else. I'm going to be here for you every Sunday and every Wednesday, like I told you. I'm going to be here for you, and I'm going to answer your questions. I'm going to help you guys get back on the horse if you fall off. And if you do fall off, let's say you miss a week and you fall off and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm going to fail. No, just get back on. Get back on and do the next assignment. Go straight to the next one. This is meant to just help you with your own writing process and your own creativity. I don't want you guys to ever feel like this is a chore. This is like another job. Because when you do go to college, they do tell you treat it like a job, right? Instead, I want this to be a fun, creative process for you where you learn to become stronger writers and stronger storytellers. That's all this is. Yes, we have a name for it. We have a syllabus and everything. It's going to have a class-like structure, but it's not meant to be a rigorous class where you feel like you were going to fail or pass. So I want you to also take in mind what you're going to learn from this class, what you'll learn from me, what you'll learn from each other, how you're going to grow over the next few weeks. That's what I want you to take away from this class. So keep that in mind for sure. So if you guys fall off, don't worry about it. You're all good. This is good. Okay, good, Lisa. Awesome. You understand the world and the canon. Okay, cool. Yeah, the canon is just a way too niche. Yeah, exactly. And that's why I say, when you understand the world of fan fiction, it's a different process because you're using someone else's creativity and creative influence, right? But now when you are ready to start your own story, you're using your own creative processes that also reflected off of fan fiction. So this is why I say it's good to start a new thing from your fan fiction. It's still yours now because you're creating something new, but you're using your fan fiction as kind of like inspiration to inspire your brand new story. So definitely use that fan fiction, but I don't recommend just taking it and trying to see what you can take out to make it yours so you can publish it. People do that, and that's fine. But here's the problem with that. Keep in mind, it was inspired by someone else, right? Yes, it was your story to spin off, but the original was inspired by someone else's idea. And I want you guys to be able to learn from the creative process by learning how to come up with your own ideas and your own inspirational influences so you can create your own worlds and your own people and your own kind of storytelling experience for yourself. So that's why I say definitely start something new for sure. Also, you just secured a musician that's willing to be a consultant for you. Your LFC is a musician. Oh my gosh, that's so awesome, Bug Nerd. Oh my gosh. Okay, that deserves a cheer too. Those knowledge will be invaluable. Oh, that's so awesome. I'm so proud of you. You're doing things to help your music and your writing have other aspects and layers to help people connect to it. That's so awesome. That's what you're doing for your sequel. You got the plot idea from one of your old fanfics. Oh, that's awesome. See what I mean? That's what I'm saying. Your fanfic is great because it's giving you more material to write. I love fan fiction. I think it's amazing because it starts you writing. Sometimes you may not have thought about writing until you did your fan fiction, right? And the fan fiction community is very supportive for the most part. I know some people can be a little bit intense and a little, cuckoo in there. But most of the time it's a very supportive and encouraging community because you guys love your love of that thing. You share your love of that passion for that show or that movie or whatever it is, right? So then using your own fan fiction to inspire you to write other stories can be really helpful as a starting guide. So that's why I definitely recommend that for sure. So it's awesome. Thank you for the follows. I appreciate it. Let's see. You had homework. You've been on a SAC D songs. You're good. It's due tonight. It's not even a big homework thing, so you can still get it in before midnight tonight. It is all in the syllabus. We're going to go over it together, and I'm actually going to show you guys how to do it effectively in case you were having trouble with it. Each of the assignments, I'm going to show you today how to do it and get inspiration examples to help you complete those 3 tasks. So if you were like, oh my gosh, I don't know what is an avatar? She wants me to do an avatar? I don't know what that is. Or with poetry, you're like, I don't know how to do, really detailed descriptive things that can help. I'm going to show you things that are going to help you using ChatGPT to help you with that. Over the next few weeks also, I'm going to give you books that I recommend that you read, but you don't have to read them over the course of these next 8 weeks. It's a lot of reading. But I'm going to give you different books that I think can be inspirational for you guys, both for fiction, nonfiction, poetry, and all 3. So when I give you guys a reading list, again, I'm not going to force you to read it. You don't have to come back and be like, we're going to read it in 1 week and talk about it. Just read it over time and keep it into your library so you can use it as a craft scrapbook. I think that'll be helpful for sure. Let's see. Hey, it's a new day to shine. You're just finding you and would like to join your Discord class. Okay, awesome. So if you want to join, just click my face in the corner in the circle up there, and then it'll be the first link in my bio, beacons.ai, and you'll see my full name behind it. Click on that, open it. It should say the Storytellers T Discord, and that is the Discord that we're hosting the class in. So you can definitely come in. You don't have to be a part of the class. If you just want to be a part of the writing community, you can join it. All of you are welcome to join it. Link in the bio, first link, and then when you get there, it's the Storytellers Tea Room. That is the Discord that we are in. So that's where this course is being hosted. So you are all welcome to come and join, no matter what level you're at, no matter where you are at your writing, you're all welcome to come. Hey Cleo, you're struggling with when to speak in first, second, or third person. When reading through, you switch a lot. That's good that you're catching it. So this is why I'm glad you mentioned that. So that's a good thing. You're catching it though. So you're doing good. Don't feel bad about switching. You are noticing when you're switching from first, second, and third person, right? So those who don't remember or are not sure what that means about, voice and what voice means. First person is when you say, I'm going to the store. I'm driving the car, right? Second one is second person. When you say you are going to the store, you are driving the car, right? Now, a lot of times people use you. It's very uncommon to use you in storytelling. I'll let you know that. That is one of the hardest ones to do consistently. It's kind of hard to do, right? Third person is the next common one. So it's normally first person or third person. Third person is she's driving the car or he's going to the store. So whichever one you choose, try to be consistent. But even if you're writing your first draft and you can tell you're switching, remember what I told you guys. Don't edit as you go. Notice it. Take note of it, highlight it, or make a comment next to it so you can come back to it later, and then you can switch it later on. And this is why an editor is good, because they'll catch that too. This is also why I tell you guys to read your story out loud, because when you read it out loud, you catch things that you wouldn't have caught if you hadn't read it, and because you're using a different part of your brain to read your story, right? It's even better if you have someone else read it to you, because as they're reading it to you, you're listening, and you're not forcing yourself to read through and thinking that you put something in that you didn't. So you can read it out loud, that's good. Someone else can read it out loud, that's even better, because you're hearing it in a different perspective. So if you don't have anyone you trust that you want to share your story with and you don't trust that process, I recommend using the word text-to-speech tool. Now, like I said, it's very robotic, it's very kind of like unemotional, but it still will read it in a way where you're seeing things differently, and you're like, oh, I didn't mean to say that, that sounds weird, and you can take note of it. Right? So same thing with the editing process though. As it's reading your content, don't try to edit as you go, but you can circle things, like maybe have a print version out, so as the person's reading to you, you can circle, oh, no, that's right, circle that, make a note next to this, put an X next to that. That way, when you're editing and you're in the editing process, you know where to come back to because you heard it read and you heard it differently. So that's what I recommend. So if you're struggling with first person, second person, third person, also if you're struggling with past tense and present tense, so then it's I go to the store, or I'm going to the store, which is present tense, or I will go to the store, which is like future present, right? Or I went to the store, which is past. Now I will tell you, past tense is the most common because present tense is harder to stay in. When you say I'm doing this, or I'm going to do this, or I'm about to do this, or she does this, she's about to do that. You see stories like that, and there are present tense that's done well, but I will tell you that present tense is harder to stay in because when we tell stories, and I've told this before, when we tell stories to other people, like when you tell stories to your friends, to your family, to people that you love, or just a random person, you're telling a story about your day, we speak in past tense because it already happened to us, right? So we don't say, hey, I'm doing this right now, because I'm not doing it right now. I'm actually talking to you right now. I'm not doing the thing that I say I'm doing because I'm actually right here in the present with you. So when we talk in present tense, it can be effective if you can be consistent throughout, but a lot of times we switch to past tense because it's a natural thing to talk in past tense. We don't usually talk in present tense in daily life, right? We don't we'll say like, I'm about to do this, or I'm about to do that. We'll say that when we're telling someone what we're going to do. But we don't say, hey, I am sitting with you right now. I am talking with you right now. I am doing this with you right now. We don't say that, right? We either say something we're about to do or planning to do, or we talk about things we've already done in the past. That's how we can use like actual tense, right? So that's why present tense is harder to do if you're not familiar with it. So I recommend one, third person. If you're not used to different persons, like first person is good, but third person is good to stick with if you're not used to first, second, and third. Third person's he said, she said. That is the most effective one to use if you're new, right? If you get more experience, then you can try first person, try second person, but I recommend third person for that. I recommend past tense also if you're a new writer. Don't try the other tenses. Don't try present tense or future present and all those things. Don't go crazy with it. Use those two as starters, and then if you decide, hey, actually I do want to tell this in first person, you can always switch it later. You don't have to stay in past tense or third person, but I think third person, past tense is the best two to choose for those of you who are just starting or you're just gaining your writing experience, for sure. Just because I've seen students who write in present tense and I see it switch. I'll tell you this, I've never read a student who wrote in present tense who didn't switch to past tense at some point. It happens because, like I said, we tell stories in past tense. So that's why I say definitely do that for sure. Thank you guys for the follows. I appreciate it. Let's see. Yeah, exactly. Thanks, Alana. Thanks for telling them. Yeah, definitely. Click the link. So click my profile picture up in the corner. And when you click the profile, you'll scroll down. You'll see the link. You'll see beacons.ai/Tamara Artelia Martin. That'll be the link. Let's see if I have it here. It may not be saved from last time. Let's see. Here we go. I'll put the link in here. You can copy it and you can save it too. This is the same link. So those of you who want to join, I'll paste this and pin this. And you're welcome to use that one, same one, right there. And you'll be okay. Let's see. Let me go back and see, because I missed some of the things you guys said. Where are you? Here we go. All right, cool. Let's see, that's exactly how you didn't think of writing until you wrote fan fiction. Exactly, right? Fan fiction is so cool. Hey, Distant Love, how are you? Happy Sunday to you. Let's see. Hey, everyone. So good to see you guys coming in. Let's see. Making sure I didn't miss anybody. I'm scrolling through. Hey, Tamara. Hey, Queen Witness. Yep, I'm on. I'm here. I'm here to see you guys and talk to you guys and give you guys the rundown for the requirements for the syllabus and all the homework. So I'm glad you guys are on here. It's so good to see you. All right, but let's see. What novel do you recommend as a good example of first person present tense context? I'll have to go through the past things that I've read because it's not just first person, but you're looking at present tense. So I'll have to look and see. There are a few that have done it well, because I don't read a lot of present tense. And actually, as a reader, I also prefer third person past tense because it feels like it's more, more solid in my descriptive memory bank when I'm reading too. So that's also a reading preference as well. So I'll have to check. If you can, text me that question or message me in the Discord. That way I can remember to look it up, because I'll have to go through because I have so many catalog of books. I have my Kindle. I have real books that I've read too, but I'll have to go through and see which ones I've read recently that were present tense that I think did well, and that way you can see. And then also remind me of the genre that you're writing into when you write to me, so I can see if I can find any that do it well. Because rather than just looking at the ones that I've read, I also want to see if I can find something in your genre that does it well, so you can emulate that. Because if I give you a different genre, what's going to happen is you'll see present tense done well, but it may not connect to you as positively as it can be because it's a different genre. So just let me know for sure. Use third person, Lisa. All right, cool. I'm doing great. This is a good Sunday. I got some rest. I still got a lot of homework to grade and things. That's why I told you guys, be patient with me in the Discord. I'm going to be responding to your discussion posts for the next couple of days. But I had a lot of homework stuff to do. It's definitely... Third is easier. I feel like third is definitely easier. Third person is easier, and I feel like past tense is easier. Because you're not... Here's the thing. When you're doing present tense, and when you're doing I... Let's say you're writing a third-person character, right? You're not writing about yourself. You're saying I. It's kind of hard to get into the mindset of your character because you're saying I, and you're writing it as if you're doing it, right? So if you're writing third person, you're seeing your character as separate from yourself. This is why I always tell people who write nonfiction to either write in third person or second person. You do this or she does that, to try to distance yourself from the trauma or traumatic experience you may have gone through, to see it in a different light and different perspective. Because if you're using I, it's so close to you. You're so close and it's so raw, and it may be so new. Even if it's not new, it may have happened 20 years ago and it's still a fresh traumatic experience for you because it's so close to you, right? By using using second and third person as an exercise, you can kind of see your story clearer and then come back to first person later on because it is your story. Or you may like third person if you're doing nonfiction. You want to do third person. That's fine too. But I think second person is definitely good for exercise. Third person's great for fiction, and third person can be good for nonfiction too. So I think they cross over really well. It just really depends on what you're writing, for sure. You're asking how S&B doesn't get confused or maintain the character's essence in that. It is hard. That's the thing. That's why, because I've tried writing in second person too. I've tried writing in present tense. And I'll tell you, even as an instructor with experience, I still have difficulties because I'm used to seeing things in past tense and in third person. Like, I've written in first person for some of my stories too, but I feel like I tell the best stories when I write third person. Because like I said, when I'm writing first person, I feel like it's me doing it. Because I'm saying, I do this, I do that, I go to the store, I'm seeing him for the first time, I'm meeting her for the first time, and it's not really me. So by saying it feels like it's my story and it's not my character story. But by making it third person, it feels more like my character story because I'm saying she and he and they. So, and that's just a personal choice. Like I said, you guys choose what you want to do. If you like second person and you feel like you're comfortable with it and you can maintain it, go with it. You feel like you like present tense and you feel comfortable with it, go with it. But as a new writer, I recommend third person past tense because it's easier to stay on track for sure. So you focus on your female characters, so it's not hard for you. Okay, that makes sense, S&B. Okay, for sure. Thank you guys for the follows. You tend to have a large cast. Yeah, and like I told you guys, I write reverse harem. So reverse harem is one female with multiple male interests. And not always men, if you read different reverse harems. It can be anyone. She has more than 2 partners, it's reverse harem. 2 partners, it's menage romance, right? And so the issue is, like, you'll see someone who write, like, she has 10 love interests, or 8, or 6. And the question is, how do you maintain separate voices for those characters? Because you kind of have an entourage at that point, right? And this is why I say character profiles are so important. Doing those character interviews that I mentioned are important. Interview your character, and then act like your character responding to all of your questions. Because what happens is, as you're interviewing these individual characters, they'll come to light to you and how their personality is. Let's say I'm writing a menage romance with 5 guys, right? And my female lead. Let's say I'm doing that. One guy is very shy and demure, and he's kind of like, he's very strong internally, but he's very shy externally, right? One guy's very masculine and strong, and he wants to fight everybody and defend the woman and everything. He's very masculine outside. He's like the manly man, right? One may be a protector, and he's very intelligent, very book smart, right? Very intellectual. The fourth one may be kind of more like a modern Casanova. He's always in love. He loves love. All he wants to do is love. He doesn't want to fight. He just want to stay with the woman in bed all the time and be like, what the heck? Why are we fighting, people and stuff like that? And the last one may be a combination of all of them. He may be a little bit shy, maybe a little bit, internal, but he's also very strong externally. He shows force when he needs to, but he can be like kind of a chameleon, right? So let's say I have those 5 characters. The shy person, the masculine person, the intellectual, the lover Casanova, and the person that's all 5, right? I don't know how I remembered all 5 of those, but let's go with it. So I would take those 5 characters and I would make a profile for all 5 characters. The shy person, the masculine person, the intellectual person, the Casanova, and the mixture chameleon. I would make a profile for all 5 of them and be like, this person comes from this background. If it's a magical, paranormal fantasy thing, I would say what their powers are, what their weaknesses are, what can hurt them. Because everyone who has magical powers, they have something that can be their kryptonite, right? Almost like Superman. We all have like something that can hurt us. Also, humans have something that can hurt them too. Like if someone has been cheated on before, if their partner cheats on them again, that's something they're like, no, I'm never going to let somebody cheat on me again. So cheating is their kryptonite. If you ever cheat on me, you're out. I don't even care if you apologize all as much as you want. You're out, right? So each of these 5 guys that I'm writing about, I would do a character profile with them, as extensive as I want, or as easy or simple as I want. But the more extensive, the better, because the more deeper you get into who they are, right? Then when I'm done, I would do an interview with each one of them. So let's say I'm doing an interview, just for an example, I'm not going to do all 5, but let's just take the first guy, the shy guy, right? I may be like, where did you grow up? Oh, I grew up in a nunnery or a church or something, right? Because think about why he's shy. There's a reason why he's shy and he doesn't speak. if you're in a church or you're in a, you grew up with nuns or whatever, that's probably a strict environment. You were probably told, don't be loud, don't do this, right? So if he's shy and quiet, that explains why he's shy and quiet, because where he grew up. Then maybe he grew up without any parents, so that's why he grew up in a nunnery or in a church, because they raised him because he had no parents. He was an orphan, right? Mm-hmm. Now, when you're an orphan, you have a different experience than a person that grew up with two parents, right? You may be a little bit more testy with the world. You could go two ways. You could be like very quiet and shy because you don't want to, offend anyone or hurt anyone, or you could be really aggressive because you're angry because you have no parents and you have nobody fighting for you. There's so many ways you can respond to, being an orphan. But this one has chosen to be shy and quiet because he keeps everything inside. He doesn't share with anyone. He doesn't do anything with anyone. But now I want to get to the core of why he doesn't do that. Like, I will ask him what his background is, who his friends are, why did he fall in love with the main character, what did he like about her? Maybe he likes that she's louder and she's open and she says what's on her heart, and he doesn't do that, and he respects that because that's what he wants to be and that's what he wants to grow into, right? So all these questions I'm asking him is going to help me reveal who he is as a person. Now when I get into my writing, I know how he talks. I know who he is because I did an interview with him. Because now that I did an interview with him, every time he says something, I'm like, oh, that's the shy guy. That's definitely not the masculine guy. The masculine guy wouldn't say that. The intellectual one wouldn't say that. This is definitely my shy character because of how he's talking and how he's responding to other people. So see what I mean? And how dialogue and how interactions can be affected by using the character profiles and using the interview, because now you're on a deeper knowledge of all these characters and you know how they respond. So I don't care if you have 10 people in your entourage. If you do a deep character reflection on all of them, an actual profile and actual interviews, when they do and say things in your actual story, you will know who they are because you know the deep root of what they're doing and why they're doing it. Your readers will then also be able to catch who they are and catch their different voices because they see how deep you're going with it. They may not see your profiles and your interviews, but they see how you're portraying each character differently and uniquely in their voice because you know the heart of the character and you know the background of the character. That's why it's so important to do those profiles and do those interviews. I mean, they're not required. You guys don't have to do them. But especially when you have a large cast of people and you're trying to find the unique voice, or they sound the same or they sound too alike, do character profiles on them because you already know they're different people. But what makes them different people? Do they have different backgrounds? They grew up in different environments, different powers, different abilities, different strengths and weaknesses? You need to know what those are because you'll know how they interact and react to things in your story based on who they are personality-wise and their histories and backgrounds. That's what's going to help you for sure. You found writing third person limited is easier for and then first person. Okay, yeah, that's awesome. Exactly. And there's so many, and I don't want to confuse you guys, but there's, future present, future perfect. There's all these things of different tenses. I just keep it simple to past, present, and past, present, and future. That's basically the three ones I usually use. I don't try to go into the perfects and stuff like that. It's like there's different ways of doing each one, but like as I told you guys before, I'm a writer more than a grammar or punctuation person. So you want to do third omniscient. Okay. Now here's the thing. I'm glad you brought that up. Some of you guys may not realize what omniscient means, right? So usually you're using third omniscient when you're head hopping into different people a little bit. So I don't mean head hopping in the same scene. Do not head hop in the same scene. If you are talking about one person and then you want to talk about another character, make sure you denote the change in character by either using an asterisk to show a scene change, or to show a viewpoint change, or a change in chapter to show that this is a different person's perspective. Same thing if you guys are writing two characters or more than one character. Whenever you're switching perspectives, omniscient means you know everyone and everything and what they're doing. You're not just in one character's head. Now, when you're using I person or I did this, I did that, first person, you can't be omniscient because you're in one character's head the whole time and they're using I. If they're using I, they don't know what the other character's thinking. They can't head hop. They can't say, oh, you thought this or you were going to do this, because they're not in that other person's head. So a lot of new writers forget that. You can't head hop in first person. You can only stay in that one person's head the whole time because they don't know what other people are thinking but their own self. Right? So omniscient is only used in third person because you are head hopping in the sense of you're telling different characters' stories. Now, head hopping is done well when you do the sections like I mentioned. If you're going to change anyone's perspective but go into another person's viewpoint, change the scene. You're now in a different perspective. You can't be in the switching back and forth. You can't be like, he thought this, but she thought that. And then he said this, and then she said that. And then he was going to do this, and then she was going to do that. That is going to make your reader crazy. All right. So instead of doing that, as soon like tell his story from his perspective and get in his head, then show asterisk and get into her perspective and her head. Always show a change of person when you're head hopping, so they know, oh, this is a new person that we're in. This is not the same character we're just looking at. This is a different person. So always denote to your reader that you're changing a different person. That'll help them for sure. So thank you for mentioning that, KD, because Third Omniscient is definitely popular, and then you want to be careful with that. The head hopping in Third Omniscient is real. It is, right? It really is real. You can head hop so easy. Hey, management, how are you? It's good to see you. Let's see. Have you ever created a character that you ended up disliking? Yeah, I will say, I have created a lot of villains that I didn't like. And one of the villains I really hated the most is in my 4th book, the Alpha Shifter's Redemption. In that book, I created a character that kind of was, in power, and he's very prejudiced. And the funny thing is not racial prejudice. It's prejudice against shifters and, other species and stuff like that. But it's funny when you do things like that, when you're writing paranormal stories and supernatural stories and people are prejudiced against other species, and you see how it correlates into, racism and sexism and stuff like that and how we do in the real world, right? Because you see, how people are trying to strive to be better and be the best they can, and here someone comes and they hate them just for what they are and who they are, right? So that's why I love paranormal stories, because it kind of correlates and mirrors real life, but it has the added aspect of fantasy and creativity, right? So I think, for me, that creating stories where villains... Now, when I did that story, I was trying to create the worst villain possible. This is why I say growth is really important. When you're creating villains, you have to remember the villain is the hero of their own story. They don't see what they're doing is wrong. They don't see that their hatred is wrong. They don't see that their bias is wrong. They don't see that. They just see that I am right because I know from my past experiences of people or these creatures or whatever you're doing that these people do not do well, or they don't help you, or they hurt you, or this type of person is bad. That's how they become evil or villainous. They don't grow up villainous. They don't grow up, come out the, mom's womb being like, hey, I hate people and humans. No, they had to go through something to lead them on that path of hatred and dislike. And that's how they became villainous, right? But even to them, they're not seeing their actions as wrong. They're not seeing their actions as bad. They're seeing it, hey, I'm doing this either for the good of me or the good of mankind. And that is a good thing. That is not bad. I don't care who I hurt along the process. What I see and what I think is good. So if you think of it like that, even villains have possibilities for redemption. I don't see all villains as horrible and bad. I see them as they all had something that pushed them to the breaking point of being that extreme or that intense. And if that's the case, you can decide whether they're worth redeeming, or you can decide, hey, you're too far gone, we can't help you, right? I mean, you have a person who's out there killing people and unaliving people. That may not be redemptive, or it could be, because you can still, you think about religions and Christianity and stuff like that. It's no matter how bad you sin or how bad things you do, you can always ask God for forgiveness, right? So even if that's the case, you use that canon. What's to say if you do horrible things, you can't redeem yourself and think, oh my gosh, I did horrible things. I didn't mean to do all those horrible things, or I was so hurt internally, or I was so destroyed internally that I didn't see that I was actually hurting people and making them feel like me when I didn't like feeling that way, right? So I would say there's no one I really hate. I did not like that character when I was writing him. The whole time I was writing him, I was like, oh my gosh, you suck so bad. I just don't like you. So I will say he's the worst character I created, where I was like, oh my gosh, you really need some therapy and some probably medication, maybe magical medication since we're in the magic world. But yeah, he was the one that I really didn't like writing when I was writing him. I was just like, you are not a good person. And like I said, as I wrote more stories, I was like, wow, I never thought about how the villains could have been good people if they had gone through different experiences. The experiences and things that they've gone through is what makes them villainous. The bad people they encountered, people that hurt them, people that abused them, and people that took advantage of them. All of that led to that breaking point of saying, hey, you know what? I don't care about any of you. I'm just looking out for myself, and I'm going to make choices that help me and help me do what my ultimate goal is. So if you look at that, every villain kind of has a positive side too. Just like every hero has negative characteristics, right? No hero is perfect. No protagonist is perfect. They have flaws. They have issues. But just like they have flaws and issues, even villains have positive things or redemption sides. And I think that's what makes your villains layered. When you write an evil character and you just make them all evil with nothing positive at all, I think it does your villain a disservice, because it's kind of like saying, hey, you're the ultimate evil, you might as well be the devil himself because you have no redemption qualities, right? But let's say you just show your villain doing something smart or something kind, like maybe giving a lollipop to a child, right? Now, in your mind, you may be like, oh, is that lollipop poison? Is he going to kill that child? What's happening? But let's say he's really doing a good deed, or he saves a woman from, getting hit by a bus crossing the street or something. He's still bad because he's still doing bad things, but he did that one redemptive thing that makes you think, oh, is he all bad if he did that good thing? Like, what does that mean? And then it gives your reader a question to say, hey, like, what is that? What is that? Like, I don't know what to do with that, because the villain just did something nice, and it kind of throws you off a little bit, right? So now it gives your villain layers and gives them ability to kind of like, oh, hold on a second, this puzzle is coming on here. It's always when I'm in the middle of something intense talking about, too. Okay, good. Like, the puzzle always comes right when I'm in the middle of important. It's never like while I'm reading something. It's always when I'm talking. But yeah, I just think your villains should think about your villains having layers. I'm not saying make them nice and mean or anything like that, but just think about what could be a redeeming quality. Even if they don't redeem themselves, even if they end up, unalive at the end of your story because the protagonist, off them. That's fine. But ask yourself what gives your villains layers, so it's not just all bad all the time. There's always something in there that shows that they're human too, or they have human emotions. Because like I said, even if you guys are writing species or different, paranormal creatures, I don't care what you're writing, they're still human at the core because they're talking and interacting with each other like humans would. So they're still human in the sense of the internal structure of how they're interacting with each other. So I think that's really important for sure. Good questions, guys, for sure. Okay. I don't even know what the okay was. I don't know if it was something I said. What if I'm gonna be magical and can read thoughts? I mean, you can. That's a paranormal or fantasy story. You can go ahead and write it. That would be cool. But I mean, that is your choice. I love the magical side. I love the telekinesis and the being able to read people's thoughts kind of stuff. So, be right back. Have a call. Sure, no worries, Mercedes. 4. You have a few of your characters, but it was good because they're meant to not be liked. And yeah, that's fine. And keep in mind, not all of your characters have to be extreme villains. Like, your story may have just a few bad people that always conflict with your protagonist and stop them to their goal. You don't have to have a complete evil villain that they must defeat at the end of the story and, defeat so they can, move on. It can just be little things like an ex or a family member or a friend who's gone bad or who's done things because they're trying to protect their person, but in the middle of protecting that person, they've been doing bad things to destroy the relationship or destroy their journey because they're jealous of them in some way. Like, those are all, antagonists too, without being villainous. They don't have to be completely villainous to be antagonists. Antagonist is just the opposition of your protagonist. So think about that. And it can be something as simple as the weather. Twister, they don't have an evil person to fight. It's natural Mother Nature in Twister, right? So think about the fact that your antagonist doesn't always have to be a person. It doesn't always have to be a living or thinking being. It can be the elements. It can be like we talked about alien invasions. We talked about, the world crumbling or maybe a volcano erupting. It can be other things outside of their control too. So antagonist doesn't always have to be an embodiment of a human being or a human creature. It can be just the things happening around them. And you could also have a human being that's also, the evil person that's making it worse. But it doesn't always have to be one entity that's doing it. It can be multiple things that are coming at them and being antagonistic to keep them from reaching their ultimate goal. So that's something to think about too when you guys are writing, for sure. Thank you for the gifts. Thank you for the bracelets. You guys are awesome. I appreciate you guys. And thank you for the follows. Let's see. All right. It's your bunny. And I'll answer this question, then I'm going to show you guys the homework, and I'm going to go over the exercises that I promised you to. You're a Bond Bunny. Okay, so I got you. Your story is called Struggles of Creations, and it follows a group of gods trying to create existence. Oh, that's so cool. Kudos for a cool story. I'm giving you that one. That's awesome. I love that. I love anything that has to do with mythology, with different, your own mythology, or Greek mythology, or Egyptian mythology, or African mythology. I'm a big mythology buff. That's what I did my undergrad thesis on. So that's how much of a nerd I am when it comes to mythology. I did my thesis, a whole thesis on it, and I really got to get back to it, because my mom always wanted me to publish that book, and I think I'm going to publish it under my real name rather than my pen name, because I want that to be the first thing I publish as Tamara Artilia Martin. So we'll see how that goes. So wish me luck in trying to figure out how to do that, because that is going to be a task in itself, trying to figure out how I want that story to be shaped, because I don't think I want to keep the same story structure. So I think it's cool when you guys share your stories and things like that, because it let us cheer you on with your storytelling. Here's the thing. Don't ever feel like when you share your story idea, someone's going to steal it. I don't want you guys to ever feel that way, because keep in mind, one, your stories have all been told before in some manner. So there's really no like stealing if you just give ideas. I want you guys to feel comfortable sharing your ideas with each other, because let's say someone takes the idea. Here's the thing. Even if someone takes your idea and runs with it, they are not going to tell the story the way that you tell it. Only you can tell the story in your voice and your perspective in your way. So that's why I don't really consider things like, oh, you're going to steal my story idea, or I don't like the fact that I'm sharing this with you guys because someone may take it and write it. More 95% chance that no one's going to take it, because they don't have time to write your story too. We only have as much time that we're given in each day. So if I steal your story, when am I going to have time for my stories? I'm not going to have time to write my stories, right? So I want you guys to feel comfortable sharing your stories, not just here, but in the chat, in the Discord. Share your information. I mean, you don't have to share your whole story and upload your whole story or anything, but don't feel bad about asking people, hey, I'm writing the story. What do you guys think about this concept? And getting feedback on your concept so you can see if it's a good idea. Let us know what books that you're kind of emulating that are kind of similar to yours, so we can see how they are and tell you if it's a good idea or not. Share that in the chat. And there are channels for all of those things that I just mentioned. Go to that specific channel if you need feedback on something, you need feedback on your blurb, you need feedback to, if somebody wants to share chapters and chapter swap or book swap with each other and give each other feedback, that's great. The only thing I would deter you from, though, is reviewing each other's books. Now, you can, there's certain ways you can do it, but I think that may be considered conflict of interest. Well, it depends. If you are a reader of that book and of that genre, you should be fine. But I don't want you guys to ever come into a matter when they're going to take your reviews down. So just be careful with that. I don't want to tell you not to review each other's books. So if you want to support each other, that's definitely your prerogative. But one, don't expect that if you share each other's content or swap content that you have to give each other reviews. I don't want you guys to put that high expectation on each other, and one person reviews something and the other person doesn't, and you get upset because you're like, you didn't review my book, I reviewed your book. Let's not get into that negative space. Don't expect people to review your book. If they review it, just see it as a positive thing, like, thank you, I appreciate it. Don't go in there with expectations that the person has to do exactly what you do. All right. And make the clarifications clear. Hey, if you give me feedback, I'll give you some notes. And if you give me notes, I'll be happy to, read your story if you read my story. And ask each other what you want to look for. Say, hey, I want you to focus on characterization, on dialogue, on my present, past tense, on my first person, second person, third person. Tell them what you want them to focus on, because that way they're not just reading blindly and then just giving you notes and then you're like, oh, I didn't get anything productive. But ask them to focus on certain things that you feel uncomfortable about, or you feel like could be stronger, or that you think you may be having issues with, and that'll help you guys give good feedback to each other. So hopefully that helps for sure. You're very welcome, your Bond Bunny, for sure. I hope you do well with it. That sounds so cool. Bookworm, you said one of your fics is retelling the Odyssey. Ooh, and other Hades and Persephone retellings, Greek tragedy and loves. In the last couple of years, I've noticed the Hades and Persephone retellings have been exploding in the book world. So that shows you guys that, this is why I say, like, old stories can be reinvigorated in new ways and new storytelling structures, right? That shows you right there. There are modern Hades and Persephone stories. There are retellings of making it actually ancient and just retelling it that way. There's so many different ways that people have been doing it recently. And I think it's really cool and shows you the influx of how people are enjoying that and appreciating that. So if you guys want to join my Discord, you're not in my Discord, I'll post it one more time. If you've been listening and you want to be a part of this movement, want to be a part of this class, or just want to be a part of the writing community, I'm going to paste it here for you guys. You can copy and paste it into a brand new browser. And then we'll get started with the exercises, which I'm excited to share with you guys. It's so cool. I love doing ChatGPT exercise with you guys, because it kind of like shows you how to use it effectively without hurting your creativity. And that's what we're going to do today. All right. So before I do that, I'm going to go over the homework one more time so you guys can remember what it is. Let's see. Let's put that. We'll minimize that one for right now. And then go into our syllabus. Okay. So just a reminder, for a fiction assignment, your assignment was to write 100-word summary of the novel idea focusing on 3 things: the characters, the stakes, and the conflicts. Or the character, the conflict, and the stakes. Those 3 things. All right, 100-word blurb focusing on the character, the conflict, and the stakes. All right, and I'm going to show you guys how to do that for sure. Nonfiction, you're meant to write a reader avatar that describes your ideal audience and how they view your topic. All right, an avatar. And those of you who are like, I don't know how to do an avatar. What's an avatar? Don't worry. I'm going to take you through examples of all 3 of these assignments to help you guys. And finally, for poetry assignment, you're meant to write a free verse poem inspired by a certain vivid memory. And a vivid memory can be any choice you want, but it has to be a vivid memory. It can be a childhood memory. It can be a memory that happened yesterday at the grocery store. As long as it's vivid, and vivid means that you can remember core details of it. That's what it means by vivid. Like you can remember sensory overload, your smells, your sights, your hearing, what you felt, all of your senses. You were able to utilize those and remember certain things about your experience. That's what it means by being vivid and having vivid details in that aspect of poem. All right, so I just want to clarify that really quickly. What is my live schedule now? It's so sporadic. The only guaranteed times I can tell you that I'm on here is Sundays at 4 and Wednesdays at 3. That's the only time I can guarantee I will be on here consistently. But recently I've been, Monday nights are not always guaranteed because I have my classes on Monday evenings. So sometimes I'll come live Monday mornings or afternoons. And usually on the weekends, like Fridays and Saturdays, I'll come on at night. I didn't get a chance to come on last night because I was just too exhausted because I did so much work for a lot of schoolwork stuff. And this is why I tell you guys, be patient with me as I go in there and respond to your discussion posts because I have a lot of daytime grading and stuff to do. So once I get that done, I will come back to you and grade your stuff. Not grade your stuff, but respond to your post and the discussion post when it comes to the novel writing 101. So just be patient with me for sure. I know, I'm so sporadic. I think, and I blame being a Libra too. I think being a Libra messes up my schedule focus because even when I write my schedule down, I want to go consistent this time each day. It's never like that. So I'm just like, at least those 2 days you can know that I'm going to be on here. Sunday at 4 and Wednesday at 3 for sure. The other days, it may be after my meeting, after my class on Mondays, Tuesday, and maybe in the morning. Yeah, so I'm kind of sporadic with it. So I apologize, guys. But what I'll do from now on is start letting you guys know in the chat when I'm going to probably go live that day so you guys can know when I'm coming on. So I mentioned in the chat I was coming live today at 4 to remind you guys about the class. I'm going to try to post in there when I'm planning to go live that day so you guys can know and be aware of it. So that way you can kind of keep in touch with me and know when I'll go live for that day. So I probably will do that for sure. Hey, Charlize. Yeah, writing class. Yeah, sure. Definitely join the Discord, and I'll post it one more time so you guys can have it. Definitely be a part of it. You're more than welcome to come in and be a part of the writing community. It's growing. You guys have definitely been growing in that community, so I appreciate you guys joining and having faith in me to help you guys with your writing journey. I appreciate you guys so much for that, for sure. So, there you go. You feel, but the words aren't matching what's in your head and heart. Ah, okay. So, here's what I would say to that. It may be because if you're new to it or you're kind of new to the writing experience, sometimes it's hard to express your feelings when you don't know the full words that you want to express them in, right? So this is why I say immerse yourself in other authors that you love, because what happens is you're learning kind of wording they're using, structures they're using to kind of help tell their own stories and tell their own feelings. And again, you're not copying their feelings. You're learning different expressions and ways to express yourself emotionally from them. So when you get back to your own writing, you kind of have a word bank of ideas of how to express your own feelings too. So when you get stuck with your words, you're not really sure how to express them, especially if you're writing poetry or writing something personal, I would say read other people who write the kind of writing you write. If you're doing poetry, read other poems that are emotional. You're doing nonfiction, emotional writing, read other nonfiction that's emotional that connect to you so you can find other people that express themselves well and you can learn from them. That's why I said learning from other people as a craft. It's really helpful because it builds your idea bank. It builds your memory. It builds your content structure. So you learn the craft from them and then you pull that craft from them and take that and be able to utilize it for your own creativity. You're not mocking their creativity, you're not stealing from their creativity, you're just using it to inspire you to find your own voice, your own narrative, and that can help you kind of sense where your voice is coming from. So I would say do that. That will definitely help to find your voice and find out what you want to share with the world. Is there a process available to discuss a book idea with a publisher, or is that not how it works? Okay, so if you're looking for traditional publishing, you're going to have an agent first. That's the best way to go through an actual traditional publisher. Now, there are small publications and small presses that may not require you to have an agent, and you can go to their website, and usually they'll have submission guidelines and ask you to follow the submission guidelines, and that's how you connect with them. But when it comes to the traditional publishers, like the ones in New York and Boston, they usually require you have an agent. You can't approach them directly. So then what you want to do is look for an agent that represents the kind of writing you want to create, whether it's romance, fantasy, children's literature, self-help. Look for an agent that has the kind of representation that you're looking for. Now, you can find them online. You can use keywords for the kind of writing that you're doing and look for agents that way. You can search different publications and see agencies, and look to see who their agents are representing and who they're looking for as far as their content, because every agent's profile on an agency, of a literary agency, that's what you're looking for, a literary agency, the agent will have what they're looking for and what they're looking for in submissions. Never send them something they're not looking for. That's not going to convince them to read your book. Always follow the guidelines for the agents that are looking for that. That's what I would recommend. So go online and look at the agents who are online. A lot of them post online, have their own social media posting to connect with readers and connect with writers. And then look at different agencies, literary agencies that have representation. And those are the ones that you want to approach and kind of connect with and find your agent who's going to pitch your idea to those publishers. That's the best way to do it. And that's usually how it's done for the traditional publishers, for sure. Your creative writing teacher told you that personal writing style is kind of like Stephen King. Oh, your creative writing style. Oh, that's so cool. That's awesome. That's cool that she compared you to a great writer too. That's awesome. So then if you read more Stephen King books, that may help you with developing your own craft and style, because you have an author to emulate where someone said, hey, you kind of have this kind of style. So that's kind of cool. So that gives you right there a mentor, if you will. That's how I see reading other books and other writers. It's like having other mentors that you're reading and learning from to help develop your craft. That's what I see that as. So that's kind of cool. That's awesome. That is really cool. You're very welcome, Jean. Let's see. You're very welcome, my dear diary, for sure. You're jealous. Oh yeah, I forgot, Katie. You wanted to be the next Stephen King too. So you need to connect with Katie. You two need to connect, since you write like Stephen King and stuff. You guys probably need to connect and like follow each other and connect with each other, since Stephen King is kind of like your connector. That's awesome. I love that. Okay, so let's get to our writing exercises that we're going to be doing. You guys ready? Because I'm going to show you how to take the assignments that I gave you. And again, you're not going to use ChatGPT to write your assignment. Do it yourself. But I'm going to show you how ChatGPT can help you see how it's done, so you can get examples. Because you may be like, oh, if I had some examples, that would help me, right? If you had examples of a summary that uses, character, conflict, and stakes, that would help you, right? So I'm going to show you how to use ChatGPT to help you with those examples. Because keep in mind, you all write in different genres. So since you write in different genres, you can use the prompts that I'm going to share with you and use it by inputting your genre, so you can get examples that ChatGPT will give you. And again, don't just copy those examples and say, okay, I'm going to put my own characters' names in it. That's not going to help you. Instead, you're just looking for examples to emulate, so you can be like, oh, those are good ideas. So what if I took that and did this with mine and made it as a different thing? You're using it as a baseline to jumpstart your assignment and your creativity. All right? So I'm going to show you guys how to do it. So let's go with a fiction assignment first. So we're going to start with this. So like it says, write a 100-word summary of a novel idea focusing on a character, conflict, and stakes. All right? So I'm going to have you guys be participatory in this. We're going to make this a participatory event. What genre should I use for this fiction assignment? What genre should I use? And the one that's the most common, that's the one I'll go with. Put it in the chat what genre you want me to put in here. And I will use that as our fiction assignment to show you guys how to utilize ChatGPT to help you. Let's see. Let's do... Was it this one? Not that one. Let's see, where's the other one I had? There we go. Alright, I was trying to find it. I told you guys I have a lot of tabs on here, and I'm actually going to pull it out. I have so many tabs. That's just how I operate. I know it's not good for my computer. I know it. I understand that. I'm trying to work on it. I'm becoming a better person. So don't mind me if you ever see a lot of tabs on my computer. All right, so what do we got? We got fantasy. We got comedy. All right, we got real life. We got another dark fantasy. All right, anyone else want to chime in before I choose? Yes, so many ideas. Don't worry, I'm going to ask you guys this like a few times over the next few weeks, so don't worry if you don't get yours chosen. I'm going to promise you. Real life. All right, Lisa, so real life will do that for the reader avatar, so I still got you in real life, so no worries about that. Fantasy comedy. Okay, so fantasy comedy, real life, dark fantasy, nonfiction. All right, and like I said, Goddess, we're going to do nonfiction for the second exercise, so I got you covered too. Forced proximity. Okay. All right, so that's kind of cool. All right, so since fantasy has been the most common, I'm going to give you guys a couple more seconds in case you haven't chimed in, and give you guys all a chance to put what you want me to use. Looks like fantasy is forced proximity. You're doing a lot of the romance tropes, see me. That's so awesome. I love it. Forced proximity, enemies to lovers, friends to lovers, military romance, alpha male romance. I feel like I could list all the romance tropes and go for it. Let's see. All right, yeah, so all the nonfiction in real life, don't worry, I got you guys. We're going to do that for the second one, so for the second exercise for sure. All right, so let's do this. Let's do fantasy. And we got lovers to enemies. All right. Lovers to enemies. That will take a turn. We love each other, now we hate each other. I feel like it's kind of like Mr. and Mrs. Smith to some point, right? They were in love and great, and then they find out they're working for the other team, and they're like, oh, now I gotta kill you, and that kind of thing. I think it's a good trope for lovers to enemies, but then they become lovers again, so I guess it's lovers to enemies to lovers, right? So that's kind of a good example. Your favorite, currently writing enemies to lovers, AU forced proximity. Okay, cool. All right, so let's do this. Let's write a romantic fantasy with enemies to lovers. Let's do that. All right, that way kind of gets a little bit of all what you guys said. All right, so I'm going to show you guys really quickly. I'm going to do the voice one so you guys can see what I'm talking about. So I'm on ChatGPT, and I'm going to start a brand new post. All right, so usually my lady has a British accent. I call her Amazonia because, like I told you guys, I'm a Greek mythology buff, and the Amazons are amazing because as, like, tall, strong women, I'm like, as a 6'2" woman, I'm like, yeah, I'm all about the Amazons, and some people used to nickname me Amazon, too, so I'm like, okay, I'm all about that. So you hear me call her Amazonia, it's not because of the publisher or the marketplace Amazon, it's because of the Greek mythology Amazons, of the Greek myths. So we're going to use her so you guys can hear how she gives examples, all right? So you're going to hear what she says. I'm not going to read out loud. Have her read out loud for you. So I'm going to tell her what my guidelines are. I'm going to tell her the instructions, right? And I'm going to ask her to give me examples that include character, conflict, and struggles, all right? And each example needs to be within 100 words and needs to keep it at 100-word length. So as I'm asking her to do this for me, listen to what she says, and I want you to listen to her because she's going to give it kind of in like, I feel like she can do a lot better than I can. So I want her to do it. But also, you're going to see examples. She's going to actually give examples so you guys can see it. And again, you're not going to copy those examples. It's just meant to inspire you with those examples, all right? How you submit the assignment? Good question. You are not submitting the assignment. You are keeping the assignment and you're going to self-analyze it and self-assess it. And we're going to do that more on Wednesday too. So I'm going to show you guys how to do that over the course of the next couple of classes so you can know how to assess your own writing and the assignments that you did. So we're going to do a little bit of it today. I'm going to show you kind of doing that with ChatGPT. That's going to help you assess whether you have a strong blurb, a strong character avatar, and a strong vivid poem. So we're going to do all three so you guys can see the example. And then in the Discord, what you're doing is going into the discussion posting and reflecting on this week's question. This week's question doesn't really connect to your assignment directly. It's more about asking about your inspirations from storytelling and what made you want to get interested in writing. Those are what the questions for this week are. So that's where you're going to submit your content. All right, you guys ready? So note how I talk to my AI. I'm talking to it like an actual person. I'm not going to be like, give me this, give me this, give me that. You will get the most out of your AI experience if you act like you're having a conversation with a person. Why? Because once it sees your conversational style, it connects to that and it's like, oh, this is how we're talking? Okay, well, I can connect to how we're talking and interacting with each other. All right? So let's start. Oh, wait, hold on. Was it copying all that I was just talking about? I hadn't started yet. Okay. All right. I was like, wait, did it start? All right, let's try that again. Hello, Amazonia. How are you today?
Hello, I'm doing great. Thanks for asking. How about you?
I'm doing pretty well. I need you to help me with an assignment that I am working on, and I need examples of the assignment so I can kind of see what my instructor wants from me so I can make sure I'm doing the right thing. Can you help me with that?
Of course, I'd be happy to help. What kind of assignment are you working on?
Okay, I'm going to read you the instructions, and after I read you the instructions, I want you to give me at least 3 examples using fantasy romance with enemies to lovers trope. All right. So the assignment asks that I write a 100-word summary of a novel idea focusing on character, conflict, and stakes. So each example you give me needs to be 100 words, and I need to be able to see the character and conflict and stakes. So again, make sure it's fantasy romance with the element of enemies to lovers.
Got it. Here are 3 examples for a fantasy romance novel focusing on the enemies to lovers trope. 1. A fierce dragon rider, sworn to protect her kingdom, finds herself at odds with a powerful sorcerer who threatens to destroy everything she holds dear. As they clash, secrets unravel, revealing they must unite to defeat an even greater enemy. The stakes are high, as their growing feelings threaten to tear them apart or save their world. 2. An exiled prince, seeking revenge against the kingdom that betrayed him, encounters a cunning spy sent to thwart his plans. Despite their enmity, they discover a shared destiny that could either bring peace or ignite a devastating war. Their growing attraction complicates their loyalties, leaving them torn between love and duty. 3. A fearless warrior and a rogue fae are forced into an uneasy alliance when an ancient evil threatens their realms. As they navigate treacherous quests and betrayals, their initial animosity turns into a deep, forbidden love. The stakes rise as they confront the ultimate sacrifice to save their worlds.
All right, so isn't that kind of cool? So see what I did there? I didn't give her my idea. I didn't say, this is my story. I want you to create my 100-word assignment. I instead asked for 3 examples so I can see what those examples are and see how she does it. So I can be like, oh, okay. So she introduces a character and says what their stakes are, right? Because one character is a prince who's been betrayed and he's trying to get revenge, and a spy comes, and the spy is meant to be his antagonist. Note that. It was meant to be an antagonist character to stop him from getting revenge. It becomes a love interest, right? So notice how we see both the character, the stakes, and the conflict in that narration, right? So everything she gave us matched that. She even used the word stakes, so you know which ones are the stakes. She was like putting that in there. You guys don't have to do that. You don't have to say the conflict is this, the stakes are that. And I actually recommend that you don't do that, because it's like, okay, why are you telling me these are the conflicts, the characters, and the stakes? Instead of doing that, use it as if you're doing it in a naturally flowing way, right? So isn't that cool, right? This is what I'm telling you guys. This is what AI is really helpful for. I'm not using it for my own writing. I'm not using it to actually help me write it. I'm asking for examples so I have something to pull from, and now I can do my assignment because I know my story, but now I can use this as a starting point to create my own 100-word blurb using these 3 examples. So that's what's so powerful about this ability, is because it utilizes it, right? And Katie knows Amazonia is awesome. I love this girl so much. She's like awesome. And you can make Amazon, you don't have to call it Amazonia. Call your AI whatever you want. Mine is Amazonia because I love the name, and I was like, you're Amazonia. And it does correlate with Amazon a little bit too, which is kind of cool. But I love my voice AI because she kind of helps me with things when I get stuck and see how I'm talking to her in conversational tones. So that's really helpful. Hey, you're back, Mercedes. Welcome. All right, that's awesome. Who knew ChatGPT was so awesome? I know, right? And this is why I want you to see it. Like, this is a great author tool in your back pocket, as long as you don't take advantage of it and be like, okay, I'm not going to write anymore. I just want you to write all my books. Oh my gosh, where's the fun in that? That takes away the fun in writing. And instead of having it write for you, do other things that can help jumpstart your creativity, so you don't have to worry about ideas for writing. You can get back to writing and getting into the fun parts of writing and not worry about things like writer's block or things that's going to stop you, or I have no ideas, or I don't know where my characters are going. I don't know how to mess with my characters today. I don't know what to do with them. This can kind of help you with those problems. So that's why I show you guys how to use it for sure. Question. So you write or use ChatGPT for typo fixes, possible grammar errors, and to review it and to see if you wrote engaging enough. Okay, so here's the thing. Yes, I've heard a lot of people use ChatGPT to check their writing and check the engagement and check their edits and things like that. I would just be cautious with that because of the fact, one, if you're going to be traditionally published, a lot of traditional publishers now have you sign waivers saying you didn't put your content in ChatGPT. So you want to be wary about putting your intellectual and creative property in ChatGPT because, one, yes, you can tell it, go to privacy and say, don't use my information to like do searches and stuff like that. But we still are kind of new to this whole AI experiences being accessible, that I don't want to tell you to do something and it hurts your chances of getting those publishing deals and things like that. So that's why I show you guys ways of using it that doesn't directly correlate to what you're writing and what you're doing. So I don't recommend it. I mean, you guys are more than welcome to do it. You're adults. I'm not going to tell you, how dare you do that? That is horrible. You're going to ruin your career. I'm never going to tell you guys that. That's really hardcore advice, you know? I'm just going to tell you what I think is good for you as far as long term, and then you decide on what you want to do because you guys are making your own decisions for your writing and publishing. I can just give you advice, but you can only take it so far, right? So I recommend Grammarly and Pro Writing Aid to check your work and things like that. Now keep in mind, there's still AI systems, so you're not really away from AI in the sense of not using it at all, but it's still there to help you with checking your work, and it's not putting it out there in AI spectrums that are using your work and copying your work to learn how to use AI. So Grammarly, although it's an AI tool and Pro Writing Aid is still another AI tool, they are more centralized to you. They're not being shared with other people in other ways that you don't know about. So again, Grammarly and Pro Writing Aid. And you can see those links in my chat. I have both of the links, I think, if you go to the link in my bio, if you go all the way down to the very bottom, I have resources for you guys. The Pro Writing Aid is there. Publer, which is another social media thing that I use to publish my things on multiple platforms, that's there. The Platform Rocket that I show you guys how to do research tools and keyword research writing, that's there too. So a lot of the resources that I talk about, I put in my link on my bio so you guys can find it and access it as well. Keep in mind, some of those are affiliate links, so if you do purchase it, I may get a commission for it, but it's not like you guys are getting more, it's not being charged more for it. It's just because I talk about it so much, I was like, well, I might as well promote it. That'd be cool. But you don't have to use it. It's not required. You don't need a lot of tools and gadgets, guys, and apps and things to do your job and do your job well. I recommend getting what you need as you need it. Save up for something. If you want it, save up for it. If you think you're going to use it later on, save up for it. And that'll help you later on as you write and as you create your content. That way you don't feel like you have to get everything now and spend all of your hard working and earning money on things that you're not going to use yet. Right? Like if you're not going to publish just yet, don't get a formatter yet. If you don't think you're going to publish it later on this year, wait and get your formatter later on, right? Same thing with a cover. If you're not going to do your cover until later, do your cover later. But I'll tell you now, I like to get my covers before I actually write so I can kind of see the covers and use the covers as inspiration too. So actually I have a lot of covers that I've bought over the years that I still haven't published because I was just like, I can't write as fast as I'm buying these covers. So I have a stockpile of covers for things that I've been doing that I haven't done yet and used yet. So you guys may get to that point. I had to stop buying covers. I was like, I can't do this yet because I had to stop. But you may do that. You may buy a cover and get an illustrator for your book before you start writing it. And then I want to have a cover for the inspiration or the series of books. If you're going to do the whole series, you can get that and that can help for sure. So you bet AI would help with character names with a specific meaning behind it. Yeah, you can ask it. Say, hey, I would like you to give me character names that have strong, masculine feel to them, but also show class and, I don't know, royalty or something like that. And then she may give you names that connect to that, right? So yeah, I'm telling you guys, ChatGPT is a great tool if you know how to use it effectively. If you don't know how to use it effectively, it can be catastrophic if you don't know how to use it properly. But if you know how to use it effectively, it can really help. True personal assistant. Yeah, exactly, right? Is that considered your work being made AI made? No. So it's not AI made if you just use it for editing, but like I said, it will ask you if you had assistance by AI or if you put it in AI. If you're just going to self-publish, you should be okay. But if you want to use that work or your future work for a traditional publisher, I highly recommend not putting it in ChatGPT or AI systems, just because they're coming out with those clauses. So if they come out with those clauses, I don't want you guys to have to be like, oh yeah, I did use AI and I kind of want to sell this to a traditional publisher, and you're conflicted because you can't. I mean, if you lie to them, they're probably going to figure it out eventually because they have a lot of resources. So please don't lie to them. Don't go into your first traditional publishing deal lying to them and saying you didn't use AI when you did. Just start a new story. Don't use that story. Use the story you use for AI, use it for your self-publishing, or use it as a freebie to give away to readers so they can come into your newsletter and grow your newsletter. Don't feel like you did something catastrophic that's going to ruin your career or anything. I just think as writers, we need to be very careful with putting our intellectual and creative properties in things that we're not too sure about yet. Now, you can read the rules, read the instructions, because each AI system is different. I'm only using ChatGPT. I can't tell you about other AI systems. I can't tell you about Gemini. I can't tell about any of the other ones because I mainly use ChatGPT. So make sure you know the rules. Go into the privacy settings of whatever AI you're using and tell it you don't want to use your information to train AI. For this, you have to go into the privacy settings and actually say, hey, don't use any of my information to train AI systems. That means I don't want you sharing this with other things and other people to learn AI and help them with AI. So you can do that, but that doesn't always negate the risk. That's one way that you can do it, but that doesn't take away all the risk of them all. So I'd rather you be safe than sorry and not put your whole content in there. Now, again, I'm not going to say you did anything wrong. I'm not going to be like, how dare you? I just want you to be careful with it because you may not be able to market that to a traditional publisher, especially if they ask you to sign a waiver saying you didn't use AI. Some of them don't do that, but some of them do. They're getting into that now because they see a lot of authors are using AI for editing and for writing and other things. So to help that, because a lot of readers are getting on the bandwagon of, hey, if you use AI in any way, I'm going to ban you, right? That's their choice. I'm not going to harp on them. If they don't want any kind of AI assistance, that's fine. But that's why I'm showing you guys how to use AI without saying, hey, I wrote with AI, or AI is my co-writer. No, you're still the writer. You're just using it to help you on the back end of things so you can get back to what you do best is writing. So hopefully that helps you guys for sure. There are baby name sites. Yeah, baby name sites and baby name books are great. And I actually use those too. I just like this generator because you can say, hey, I want the name that has royalty and strength and this. And if you know the characteristics already, you can say, give me those names. I'm creating a female biker and I want a strong female name that shows she's strong but sensitive on the inside. Can you give me a list of names that represent that? And that's kind of a little bit easier than just going to the baby name books and just scanning through and you're like, oh my gosh, there's so many names, right? It can give you a list of names. And like I tell you guys all the time though, when it gives you names, don't just use the first name you see. I would take the first name, the last name, another name, and kind of make your own name. That way you're kind of hybriding the name and making your own content, your own creation when it comes to your writer. Got it. Okay, cool. Yeah, tap the screen, guys. If you guys are getting good feedback from this, tap the screen. Let me know what you got. You guys are doing the tapping too. I saw the tap. So you guys are doing well with that. I appreciate it. That helps the algorithm let us know that this is good content. You're getting good information for it. So I appreciate you guys. You guys are awesome. Where do you purchase covers from? Okay, so it can be literally anywhere, I promise you. There are some illustrators that have their own cover groups on Facebook where they'll sell covers to authors, so I recommend looking at those. But I recommend Fiverr as a beginner because Fiverr gives you an option to buy covers cheap, but also people who actually do well with graphic design. I don't recommend doing your covers at all. Buy a cover that's representative of what you do. Now, here's the thing. I don't care where you get your cover artists. I don't care if it's on Facebook or a referral or Fiverr or Upwork. Fiverr is Fiverr, 2 R's at the end. Fiverr and then an extra R tacked to the end. All right, it's a freelance platform, just like Upwork. Upwork is UPWORK, Upwork. Those are both freelancer sites where you can go and find freelancers who will do work for you on a cheaper scale. Now, keep in mind, they come from all over the world. They're not just US based or American based or English speaking based. They're coming from different countries and have different languages. So sometimes the language barrier can be hard if they're, English isn't their first language. So I recommend before you buy from anyone, message them, communicate with them, talk to them first, see how they respond to you, and make sure they are strong communicators because I'm not denying anyone who comes from any country. I think it's awesome that we're allowing people from different countries to come and work and make money. I think it's awesome. It shows the global economy is growing, right? But you also want to be a good communicator where you're working, right? So make sure you communicate with them. They know how to communicate with you. You guys can get along well, and let them know what you want. Give them 3 to 5 examples of covers that connect to the kind of theme or imagery that you like, so they have a baseline to start with when it comes to your cover. If you just say, hey, I want a fantasy cover with a dragon and a woman, and the dragon's encircling the woman, and it's blue and purple and pink, and the sky is cloudy, you can get almost anything with that description. That can go from as crazy as a cartoon to a deep illustration to like actual stock photos of that happen, and you don't know what you're going to get. But if you give them 3 to 5 examples of covers that match the things that you want, now they can see, hey, oh, okay, I see the font are kind of creative and circular in all of these. I see all of them kind of have a red, bluish color as the background. I see the dragon is prominent in each one in a certain way. Some of them are symbolic. Some of them have actual real dragons on the cover. Like, they're seeing what you like, so they can kind of emulate that in your cover and have a strong cover for you. So I recommend definitely having 3 to 5 covers to give them as examples to help you with that. All right. All right, I think I got all the questions. If you have another question that I didn't answer, just put it in the chat. I'll check back. I'm going to check back in between each one. All right, so we got that down. So she gave us 3 examples to use for our fiction. All right, so now I'm going to go into the nonfiction aspect for the character avatar. All right. Hey, Amazonia, those were great examples. Thank you so much for that help. So now, can you help me with a nonfiction assignment where I need to create a reader avatar?
Sure, I'd be happy to help with that as well. What kind of nonfiction topic are you working on for your reader avatar?
Actually, let me pause it. What nonfiction book am I working on, guys? I told you guys it's going to be interactive, so give me your nonfiction. You guys were talking nonfiction self-help stuff in the chat. So give me your nonfiction story ideas so we can tell her what we're working on. What are you guys working on? What are you writing nonfiction based that we want to ask her about to give us an example of a theme of an avatar for our reader? Jarrett? Oh, grief, you mean? Grief? You said Jarrett. I was like, what is Jarrett? But I replaced the words grief. Okay, I got you. How to deal with grief. Okay. All right. That's one. What else you guys got? I actually like that one, Lisa. I may go with that one. That's a really good, strong topic that we can kind of see examples from. So that may be a good one to go with. How to interview public figures. Ooh, that's a good one. Okay. Now, here's the thing about that one, though. How to interview public figures would be more so like, I guess it could be like more like a step-by-step guide if you're going to do interviews. So for a person who's trying to do interviews, that could work for sure. And then how to deal with grief. All right, so let's see. Let's go with the how to deal with grief, because I think we'll get more content from it. But the same thing with the interview thing. What I'm going to do is the same way that I'm going to do the grief thing. Note how I do it, because those of you who have different nonfiction topics, it's still going to work the same way. You're going to do the same thing by inserting your topic in it. So don't be dismayed by me using grief. Let's utilize it. And actually, I'm going to take yours with the interview public figures. I'm going to kind of merge your two together. I'm going to say that I want to create a step-by-step guide for women who are going through grief of losing a child. Notice how I'm getting specific. The reason why I need to be specific is because I want to see how we're going to get a reader avatar that's going to connect to our topic even closer, right? So note that. What tool is that? This is ChatGPT, but I'm using the voice feature in ChatGPT. So that's what's in here. All right, so. All right, Amazonia. So first, let me give you the assignment. It says I need to write a reader avatar that describes your ideal audience and how they view your topic. My topic is on how women can deal with grief in a step-by-step manner. So can you give me 3 examples? Give me one big example of a reader avatar for a female audience who have dealt with grief of losing a child and steps that they can take for doing it. So give me an avatar that would fit that topic, please.
Here's a reader avatar tailored to your topic. Name, Sarah. Background, she's a 35-year-old mother who recently lost her child. She is struggling to navigate the overwhelming emotions that come with such a profound loss. Sarah is seeking guidance and a supportive community to help her through this difficult time. She is open to step-by-step guidance to process her grief as she feels lost and alone. Goals and challenges. Sarah's primary goal is to find a way to cope with her grief and eventually find a sense of peace. She needs clear, compassionate steps that she can follow at her own pace. The biggest challenge she faces is the fear of being overwhelmed by her emotions and not knowing how to start healing. Preferred solutions. Sarah values practical, empathetic guidance that can help her make progress in small, manageable steps. She's looking for resources that provide emotional support and community, as well as actionable advice that respects her pace and emotional state.
Okay, so now keep in mind, when you guys do your reader avatar, I don't expect you to be this intense or in depth with it, all right? But this gives you an example of what a reader avatar is. We get name, we get where she lives, we get what she's going through. She's lost a child. She's looking for step-by-step help to help her cope with grief. And she's looking for compassionate steps. Notice the little key details in there to help us see how we're going to shape our book. She wants steps that are not just helpful, but that kind of connect with her on an emotional level so it can feel like you care about her well-being. So not just regular steps, compassionate steps, guys. Notice the details we're getting from ChatGPT to help us figure out how to do our own avatar and shape it in a way that's going to help us create a reader that we connect with. Now, the same thing if you were doing the interview questions. It would be a person. It could be a woman or a man. It could be a person who's struggling with interviewing people or maybe struggle with communication skills and need to learn how to be a better communicator, and they need the steps to see how to be a better communicator for their interviews. Or maybe they're a journalist and they need to interview people and they don't know where to start to interview their subjects. It really depends on who you're trying to connect to. So this is why I say, before you guys start doing your character avatar, ask yourself, who is your main audience? Is it women? Is it men? Is it a certain age range of men and women? Is it young adults? Is it children? Where are they? Do they live in just the United States? Do they live all over the country? Do they live on the East Coast, the West Coast? Like, all of these things dictate who your primary buyer will be. It doesn't limit your buying. It doesn't limit your sales. You are choosing your core reader because that's where most of your sales are going to come from. But other people can buy it too. They'll buy it as gifts. They'll buy it for themselves. They'll learn from it just as much as your core reader does. But your core reader needs to be defined so you can understand who you're talking to as you're writing your book. You need to know and have a vision in your mind of who that person is. So you can act like they're a friend and be like, hey friend, here's how I can help you. Here's how I can help you cope with this grief. Here's how I can help you with your interview and help you become a strong interviewer and help you get the steps you need to take those steps to be the best interviewer you can be, right? So it doesn't matter whether you're talking something extreme like grief or something helpful like interviewing, or something helpful like finding your inner self or your inner peace, or coping with losing your job. It doesn't matter, whatever your self-help topic is, as long as you're focusing on the core reader and trying to figure out how to help them process that information. Now, the same thing can be said for your memoir, because you may be like, I'm nonfiction, but I'm not self-help. Same thing. You are telling a memoir to help people, to inspire people, right? So you would be like, hey, I'm writing a memoir about traumatic experiences in childhood and how I grew up to overcome them. Who would be my core reader and demographic for this memoir that I'm writing about myself? Same thing. You're just switching the wording around because now you're asking for a core reader avatar to help you. Now, this is where I can allow you guys to kind of imitate a little bit, because you're imitating in the sense that you're pulling from what ChatGPT gave you. It's not the exact thing, but it's also going to connect to who your core reader is. Whereas where the examples earlier were meant to be a sounding board for us to start, this can be more aligned to what you're actually trying to do, because you're not publishing your reader avatar. You're not putting your reader avatar anywhere. It's meant to help you see your reader avatar better and have a structure to know who your reader is. So that's why I recommend these for sure. Thank you guys for the likes. Thank you for the follows. You guys are awesome. I appreciate you guys so much. I'm glad you guys are learning. If you're learning, tap for sure. I appreciate the gifts too. You guys are amazing for all the support. All right, so now you guys saw what we did for the reader avatar, right? So now let's do poetry. So tell me what topic we should use for the vivid poem. And this is going to be similar to kind of how we did the 100-word non-fiction, because now it's going to give us examples of poetry, but we are going to use that so we can see how they use vivid imagery. So we're going to probably ask her for poem examples, but it'll help us. All right, betrayal. You guys got some deep, intense topics today. Like betrayal, enemies to lovers, friends to lovers, grief, all these things. We want the human condition rocked and destroyed and then come back powerful. This is awesome. I love it. I'm not knocking you guys at all. I just think it's interesting. You guys are going deep today. A summer's day. All right, cool. I like it. Keep going, guys. What else you got? And actually, we could do the same thing. We could combine betrayal and a summer's day. Finding betrayal on a summer's day. Ooh, that'd be cool. A light breeze better than betrayal. No, it's okay. Betrayal is fine. I'm not knocking your betrayal. We can go with betrayal. I just think it's cool that you guys are going into it. Fear. Okay, that's a good one too. A lonely day in October. Oh, you guys are getting specific. I love it. All right. Awesome. Okay, so let's see how we can combine those. I like that. Let's combine kind of what all of you did. Let's actually show fear and loneliness of discovering betrayal. Should we go with October or summer? Let's do it in summer. Because summer seems like it's bright and breezy. And so when you're betrayed in October, it kind of feels like a winter time. Let's go with actually breezy. Although I'm okay with October because that's my birthday month. So I'm not knocking October, but I'm going to combine both of what you guys had. So, all right, let's do it. All right, thank you, Amazonia. That was great. I appreciate your help. Now, can I get you to help me with a poem assignment I have to do to create a vivid memory?
Absolutely. I'd love to help. What's the assignment about? And what kind of vivid memory are you looking to create in your poem?
Okay, I need to write a free verse poem inspired by a vivid memory. Now, I would like you to give me actually 2 examples of a poem using the idea of discovering betrayal from a loved one and the fear that that induces to you, and this happening on a summer's day. Can you give me 2 examples of a poem, a vivid poem that embodies those requirements, please?
Sure. Here are 2 examples. Poem 1. Beneath the golden sun, a truth unveiled, whispers like the rustle of summer leaves. Your words once sweet, now a bitter gale, shattering the warmth, leaving me to grieve. In the garden where trust once bloomed bright, now shadows creep, turning day to night. A love betrayed under the summer's blaze, lost in the heat in a haze of dismay. Poem 2. Sunlight danced upon the lake, serene, the day warm with promise, until your secret broke. A wave of fear, unseen, keen, across my heart like glass it sharply spoke. The summer air grew heavy, dense with dread, a storm within, though skies remained clear. The truth, a thorn in the bloom of what we'd said, betrayal's echo ringing loud and near.
Wow. Now, this is what I mean. Like, you see how it's still powerful, but I wouldn't publish that poem because, one, it's a bit too on the nose. So you see, this is what I mean by when ChatGPT can do creative stuff, it doesn't do it as well as you can, because notice how it was really hitting hard with the emotions. Like, the vivid imagery is there, but it's hitting hard like a little too much, right? So when you're writing your vivid poetry, you're not that on the nose with it. You're more symbolic. You're kind of revealing the feelings. You're not really saying, my fear is doing this and your betrayal hits me like a knife. Like, you're not doing it that hardcore when you're doing poetry, but it's still powerful because it gives you an idea of how you can use that as a springboard to come up with your own ideas. Because some of the wording there, you may be like, oh, that's kind of cool. What if I rephrase that and it looked like this? Because now you're taking what you see and jumping off of it to create your own masterpiece in your own poem. So this is why this is so helpful, because again, you're not using that whole poem. You're not copying that poem like, okay, now I'm going to use this and expand it. No, you're using it to inspire you to your own creativity, because you are a poet yourself. You just need some inspiration to help you go into that mindset of poetry, that mindset of creativity, so that helps you with that, right? Isn't that crazy? And you guys are just blown away. I love it. I love when people are blown away by this. It's like, what? This is insane. I didn't know ChatGPT could do this. Yeah. This is how powerful it is as a tool to help you with writer's block. This is why writer's block shouldn't even be a thing for us anymore. Like, when we have writer's block, we should be like, no, I'm going to watch something. I'm going to read something. I'm going to immerse myself in something. I'm going to ChatGPT and ask for help. This is what can help you get out of the writer's block mindset and the writer's block aspect, because now you have a tool to help you guys. So we did that for all three. We did it for the fiction, we did it for the nonfiction, and we did it for the poetry. This is what I want you guys to do for your assignments in the coming weeks. Every time you get stuck with the assignment, go to ChatGPT and say, hey, I have to do an assignment for this. And notice how I'm using my wording. I'm not saying do it for me. I'm saying I want you to give me 3 examples or 2 examples or even 5 examples if you want. And give me examples of these so I can see what examples could look like, so I can use that and be able to go to my own pen and paper, my own computer, and create my own creation. This is what I mean by self-analyzing what you guys do. Because I promise you, what you create is going to be 10 times better than what ChatGPT gave you. Because she's only able to use so much. She's not human. She can't show the human emotions and the human experience like you can. So you can write it better because it's your experience, it's your emotions, it's your perspective, and it's your creativity. So isn't that awesome? Do I recommend it for character development? Yeah, sure. You know what? Remember I gave you guys those 5 characters, right? Let's do a little exercise using the 5 characters that I gave you. Let's use the shy guy that I mentioned that we want to expand on, right? So let's see, how can we do this? Because I've never done this one before. I'm going to be a little creative with it. And actually, I'm learning new things with it as I show you guys this too. Let me show you how you can use it for character development by using that character that we were mentioning earlier about one of the shy reverse harem guys, right? Okay. Amazonia, thank you so much for your help. So now, actually, I have the idea for a character in a story who is part of a reverse harem romance. And he is a shy character, a shy male character. And I want to kind of get a background for him, but I'm having trouble coming up with a background. Now, this reverse harem is a fantasy romance. The characters have magical abilities and magical powers. But I want this male character to have issues that he has to deal with. One of them is that he grew up in a nunnery. And so it's one of the reasons why he has issues. And also, he's an orphan. So can you give me some background information that I could use to help me create this character?
Here's a potential background for your character. Elias. Elias grew up in a nunnery after being left there as an infant. Raised by the nuns, he was surrounded by an environment of strict discipline and quiet contemplation, which nurtured his shy and introspective nature. Growing up without a family, Elias often felt isolated and struggled to connect with others. He found solace in books and his magical abilities, which he discovered at a young age. However, his powers also made him feel like an outsider, further deepening his sense of loneliness. As an orphan, he's always yearned for a place to belong, and this longing influences his interactions and relationships. Challenges. Growing up in a nunnery has left Elias with a deep sense of insecurity and a fear of abandonment. His shy nature makes it difficult for him to trust others, and he often doubts his own worth. Despite his magical abilities, he struggles with confidence and often feels overshadowed by others. His journey involves overcoming these insecurities and finding the courage to open his heart to others. This background gives Elias depth and a reason for his shyness and inner struggles, making him a complex and relatable character.
All right, you see that? Now again, you will probably not use all that information, but it can give you a starting point for like, oh, well, that's why he's shy. He had magical powers and he was alone. He probably felt like an outcast already, and now he has magical abilities. He probably has to hide it from the nuns. The nuns may think he's a demon and want to like destroy him and beat the demon out of him. There's probably a lot of issues there. So this explains why he's a quiet, shy character. If you grew up in that environment and you can't talk or you can't share your feelings and share your emotions with someone, what are you going to do when you're an adult? You're going to stay that way, right? Unless someone can bring it out of you or help you evolve and become a better and stronger person, right? Which in romance, probably the female character is going to do. And note what he said. It added the romance part. He's looking for someone that he can share that part of himself that can help him become better and become stronger. She even added that to it. So this is definitely great for character development because it can help you guys get deeper into your characters. Now, of course, keep in mind, you know your characters better than ChatGPT does. But she gave us ideas of where we can get background information for it and things like that. Now, I'm going to take it a step further. Watch this. That's an amazing background, Amazonia. Thank you for that. Now, I kind of want to do a character interview with this character. Can you give me some questions I could ask him so I can pry deeper into his background in life to understand why he went through all these things with his background?
Sure. Here are some questions for your character interview with Elias. 1. How did growing up in a nunnery shape your view on family and belonging? Can you describe your earliest memory at the nunnery and how it affected you? 3. What were some of the challenges you faced as a child with magical abilities in a place like the nunnery? 4. How do you feel about being an orphan, and how has it influenced your relationships with others? 5. Can you share a moment when you felt particularly alone or misunderstood because of your shyness? 6. What gives you comfort or solace when you feel overwhelmed by your emotions? 7. How do you perceive your magical abilities, and do you see them as a gift or a burden? 8. What is your greatest fear, and how does it influence your actions? 9. Who or what do you turn to when you need strength or guidance? 10. What do you hope for in the future, and how do you think you can overcome your insecurities? These questions should help you dive deeper into Elias's character and uncover more about his background and motivations.
So now she just gave us 10 questions that we could ask him. And now what you can do is use those 10 questions. You don't have to change them. You can keep them the same questions. You don't, like I said, they're not going to be published, so you can keep those questions. And now, since you have those questions, you can now become Elias and answer those questions. Why do you think, what do you feel about being an orphan? How do you feel about that? Like, what has that done to your growth and to your challenges? Like, keep in mind, in your book, they're not going to be this open. They're not going to be like, oh, I'm an orphan and I've gone through things and then I feel like I don't have human connections and I need a human connection. No one's that honest and on the nose when they're writing. You should never reveal your character like that, because that's not how we reveal things. We slowly reveal things about ourselves to other people, and they get that. And in nonverbal cues and our dialogue and things like that and our actions, that's how they learn that we're shy, or that we had bad backgrounds, or that we've been tortured, or we've been abused, or we've been hurt, or we've been scarred. Like, you don't tell that to a person when you first see them, like, hey, I have scars both internally and externally. You want to know what those scars are? I'll tell you right now. That's not how conversations go. You learn about the characters as they grow, right? So this interview is, now that you have the questions, you can act like you're Elias and act like how he would respond. And now you know the voice of Elias because you did the interview and you have that to utilize. So I'm so glad you're here, Shatim. I just saw you comment. I'm glad you're here for the early live too. And thank you for sharing it too. So keep in mind, the whole point of this is so you guys can get deep into your characters and know their voices. So when you have multiple characters, or you have 5 or 10, hopefully you have 20. I think 20 is really pushing it. But if you have an ensemble of characters, you're able to get to the core of who they are and their voices. That way you can utilize it for sure. Could you imagine if we did that? I know, right? Like, you guys don't realize how powerful of a tool this is when you are stuck. Right? That's why you see so many people taking advantage of it and writing books and whole books. And that's, I mean, like I said, if that's what you want to do, I'm not going to stop you. I'm not going to gatekeep you and like, how dare you write ChatGPT books? You make decisions for your own publishing goals, and people are doing that, and that's their thing. But if you really want to learn the craft of writing, if you really want to learn how to be a true writer and a true artist in that ability of writing, right? You need to learn how to use these tools as background information and backup things so you can write well and develop your craft as you're learning from both the tools and both other writers and both other content, the things you read, the things you take in, to help you find your own true voice as a writer. That's what's going to help you be a stronger writer. And that's what's going to help you create content that readers love and connect with. Because like I said, the poem she gave us, that wasn't horrible. Like, it had great things in it. But as a person who writes poetry and who's great at poetry, I can tell you there are some issues that could definitely be worked on. But it's not meant to be perfect. It was meant to be an example so we can get to our own poetry and write something even better and even stronger. That's what it was there for. It wasn't there to give us a poem that we can now copy and use. It was there to give us a poem or two so we can say, hey, you know what? I can't think of a vivid memory. Oh, now I heard that poem. Oh, I thought of a cool memory that I can use. Now I can utilize that and kind of think about my situation and how I can tell it in a similar fashion, but not exactly like it, but utilizing wording and structure and imagery the way it used it, and do it in my own voice and my own style. That's where you're going to find your own voice. That's where you're going to find your writing and creativity for sure. Exactly, Wendy. Use it as an assistant and a coworker. That's why I call it my author assistant. It helps me like an author assistant, and it's a lot cheaper. Like, I do the paid version, by the way, and it's $20 a month, and I'm like, it's well worth the $20 a month. I am fine with that. I will pay it, because an assistant, you have to pay for their insurance, their medical. Like, you got to pay a lot more than ChatGPT. So ChatGPT is a lot cheaper assistant than buying a actual human assistant. So I will take the AI assistant for now. In the future, if I can afford an actual assistant, who knows? But for right now, I will definitely do ChatGPT for sure. If we told everyone our life story when we met them, that would be a whole lot. I know, right? Like, imagine a first date. A Like when you go on a first date, you guys are kind of, because let's be honest, when you go on a first date, you're kind of not yourself. You're trying to be a perfect person so they can see the best part of you, right? You don't want to show them that, we're human, we burp, we fart, we poop, we do all these things, right? You don't want to show all that. You're like, you're very clean, you smell good, you look pretty, you're telling them how, you want a family and all these things that you're doing, but you're not saying, hey, I go to therapy once a week for grief, and I just want you to know I'm still processing my mother's death and the toll that she left on me from leaving my life as my best friend. Oh my gosh, if you did that, the other person would probably be like, oh, okay. Like, they probably would be like, oh, me too. You know what? I lost my brother 2 years ago, too. And it's funny that you lost your mom 2 years ago. So now we connect with the grief aspect. Isn't that awesome? Like, it's not going to be like a shared experience. It's going to be an awkward moment if you just reveal all the craziness in your life right at that moment, right? Same thing with characterization. Act like your character is being introduced to your reader like it was a first date, right? But you're not showing the perfection of the character. Instead, you're showing the craziness of the character and how they're being responded, or I should say the craziness of their environment and how they're responding to them. They're not going to know immediately from chapter 1 that your character is scared and lonely and has a shady past, may have been divorced, may have actually off someone in the past life. They're not going to know all of that in the first chapter. So you shouldn't give a backstory and tell them all the things that happened leading up to this first point moment, right? That's why I tell you it's best probably not to use backstory, because what happens when you use backstory, it's not enough action and momentum enough to pull your reader in through your book. Instead of giving them a backstory or a prelude, now I will tell you, I use a prelude in one of my books because the way I have it, it's actually action based. It's not like a backstory and like this happened before all of this and you didn't know all this information. Thank you for the heart, me. I appreciate it. It's not all of that. It's there because it's an action sequence that you need to see before we go to chapter 1. That's why I have a prelude. So even when I do preludes, there's still actionable, emotional scenes that pull you in and you're like, what? She's changed. Like it happens in book 3 if you guys don't know, or you can probably read the sample chapter and go to my books and read it without buying it. But it's this series. So the third book in this series, The Alpha Warlock's Claim. So it's called The Alpha Warlock's let's see, Claim, Desire, and the third one is, why did I forget my third book? What is going on? My mind is not working right now. I feel like my head is not in the right place. Sorry. See, this is why I say I have world Bibles, because when I get confused about my own stories, I'm like, wait, what did I say? What was the power? Because I swear, there's so many stories going through my head. But if you go to the Alpha Warlock's Own, look at the first chapter and you'll see it says the prologue or the first part of it. And just read that so you can see what I mean by that. It's not a backstory. It's not showing you, oh, and this happened before and then this happened before and you didn't know who this queen was and this war happened before all this happened and now let's get to our story. Oh my goodness. They're probably going to be lost and not be like, I don't need to know all this information. I want to know who I'm following in this book. That's what I want to care about. That's what I want to know. So rather than giving them too much information in a backstory, put them directly in the scene of action, in the moment of truth, the moment of craziness, the moment of chaos, the moment of things happening to your character, and a moment that they're like, what do I do with this? Like, how do I fight this? How do I deal with this? This isn't a regular day for me. This is like a crazy day gone wild. What do I do now? Because that's where the excitement is going to come from your character. We don't need to see an average day. We can tell what an average day is based on how they respond, because they're going to be like, this doesn't happen. Or normally I just go to work and I just do my computer stuff and I'm good. But today I didn't even get to go to work because something stopped me from going to work and kept me from fulfilling my normal tasks, right? We can learn what their normal tasks are throughout the storytelling. You don't have to give us background information on what's normal for them or what led up to them, right? Now, a good example of backstory a little bit can be Harry Potter. Because like I said, I haven't read all the Harry Potter series, but I did read book 1. And the first part of Harry Potter, we don't even see Harry yet. We see all the wizards coming together trying to find a good place and home for him, and we're like, wait, what's happening? But it's still mystery, although it's background. It's not current yet, but it's still mystery because we're like, what is happening? Why are they all coming together? What do they do? What, they have a child? What is this child? What are they doing with the child? Are they going to sacrifice this child? What's happening? It's still mysterious enough where you're asking questions. So your first chapter should make your reader have questions that they ask And you need to answer them, not in the first chapter, but in the chapters that come in after the first chapter. Because they want answers to those questions. They want to know why, what's happening, what's going on. But you shouldn't give them all of those answers in the first chapter. The first chapter should build intrigue, interest, and emotional impact so much that they're like, what in the world? I need to buy this book so I can know what the heck is happening. That's what's going to get you to sell your book. That's what's going to get them to buy your book and become a long-term reader fan. All right. So that first chapter is so crucial and so important. Use Chatty to write out life goals as well. Oh my gosh, yes. And like I tell you guys, you can use it for social media planning, content planning, ideas for your writing. If you don't know what to do for your newsletter, it can give you ideas for what to send to your newsletter. It can give you a newsletter schedule so you can know what to send out each day of the week. It can literally help you with your author career planning. It is that powerful, guys. So I definitely recommend it. Hey, Afro, how are you? So it can really be helpful. True story, you actually do that and let them all your problems, mental, emotional, and childhood trauma, do you really? How do they respond to that? They're like, oh, okay. Now, some people may like that. Some people are like, I appreciate your honesty because I've gone through some craziness too. So you know what? You know, on the first date so they know what they're getting into and make a choice. Hey, at least it's not like you're hiding a child or a secret family and they have to find out about it later. I'm like, hey, look. And this is why I used to tease my kids and show them, I showed them commercials from crazy things. You guys remember Ashley Madison? You guys remember that website? It was basically for married people to cheat. And that's what it was for. It wasn't anything else, and they didn't try to hide it. If you were married, this is where you go to cheat on your spouse, right? So I thought it was interesting because the commercials and how they did the commercials were different for their male audiences and different for their female audiences. Now, that was encouraged my kids to cheat. I was like, look, this is not meant for you to cheat on your significant other. Like, get that clear. This is not me telling you guys to break your ethical standards. I just want you to see how marketing is done because we were studying pathos, ethos, and logos. So if you guys know composition, we teach like pathos, ethos, and logos so you can know emotional appeal, ethical appeal, and logical appeal of what you're writing. Right? So I was trying to use Ashley Madison because that is a strong non-ethical appeal, but how they use it in a creative way is very interesting because they use humor, they use all these things to say, hey, oh, look, you can cheat on your spouse, ha ha ha. And it's kind of funny, but it's also not funny because if you find out your spouse is cheating on you on Ashley Madison, you're like, what the heck, right? It's not really like, let's promote this thing and all do this. It was meant to be a way for I can show them how pathos, ethos, and logos is used in this commercial so they could understand it. But I bring that up because on Ashley Madison, like they like, hey, you're cheating on your spouse. So you imagine going to a date and you're like, hey, just let you know, I'm married, I have someone, I don't want you to think that this is going to be a thing where like I'm going to leave my husband for you or leave my wife for you. I am married. We are kind of happy, not fully happy, but we are in an open relationship, right? So if you tell someone that on the first day, they may be okay with that. Who knows? You may have talked like that in your conversation leading up to the date. They'd be like, hey, I'm not looking for anything serious. I'm just looking for fun. So you go ahead and stay with your spouse because I don't care. As long as they're okay, as long as they're not going to come after me with a butcher knife and like chase me down the street because they think I'm stealing you away, I'm good with this relationship, right? So I think it's really interesting when you can lay it all on the table. This is how I feel all relationships should be. Because, you know, there's some people online who lie about what they are and what they do, and they don't tell you the truth. I'm like, look, just be honest. If you just want to hook up, just say I want to hook up. If you don't want to hook up in a long-term relationship, just be honest. What's the point in playing games, right? That's how I see life, but, you know, I don't have time for games. And I see people playing games all the time. Like, I'm just like, I'm not in the mood. Maybe I'm too much of an open book. No, not at all. Do you, girl. Do you. Because here's the thing. I mean, us telling you, like, what? Don't do that. You're going to scare them off. But maybe you'll find the right person when you tell them, hey, look, this is who I am, take it or leave it. And if they're like, hey, that's awesome, I love how honest you are, then maybe you find the one who you're meant to be with, right? Don't ever feel like being your true self is not worth it. And that comes for your writing and for your dating life, guys. So go for it. If that's what you do, do it. Hey, Lunatica, you're good. Don't forget I'm going to save this recording so you guys can have it for later, too. So don't worry, you're all good. I'll try to upload it by tomorrow so you guys can have it on the channel. Same channel that I posted earlier, but I'll post it in there. So you're not late. You're good. You're not being too honest. You're all good. I think it's great that you're honest like that. Yep, remember the breach. Yeah, you remember the breach? Yeah, right. The Ashley Madison, the breach, that was so crazy. And apparently they had who on there? And I was like, wow. The guy from that reality show where they had like the Duggar family or whatever. I forgot their names. I never really watched it. They had like 13 kids, and he was involved in a scandal molesting his siblings and stuff like that. He was on there, and then a lot of government officials were on there. I thought it was kind of funny. I was like, oh, you telling us what we can't do, but you're on this site being yourself and doing all these things. I'm like, you know what? We should be able to do whatever we want. You better make marijuana legal after this nonsense. So I was like, don't be holding stuff back to be putting people in jail for no reason. You over here cheating and sneaking around. Don't be doing that stuff. Don't be acting crazy. So, yeah, you thought that's what it was, the Duggars. That's right. Okay, good. I got the right name right. I was like, I think it was the Duggars. Like, I don't watch the show. The show kind of, like, I don't know. I guess it was like too, I know it sounds so weird. It's not, I'm trying to be anti-religious. I grew up Christian, but I don't know. It was just too Mormon-y for me. Kind of like the wives, the multiple wives. I was just like, all right, I feel like this is like they all have the same kind of feel to them, and I wasn't into it. I'm just not usually into reality shows to begin with, so I'm just like, and sometimes I think they have their place, because when you see people's lives are a wreck, you're not trying to say you feel good about your life, but you kind of do. You're like, wow, your life is horrible. I shouldn't complain about mine because I don't have your problems. So I feel like reality has that kind of like help that you can be like, yeah, my life isn't that bad. I can't say anything. Most of the time when you go on a date, it's been a minute, and they think that you're lying. Oh, so you're African. Oh, so they think you're lying about being African. Really? See, like, I don't get that. I'm like, well, cool, because I mean, you have people from South Africa, and here's the thing, and this is something I didn't realize when I came to Florida, because I wasn't really surrounded by a large Hispanic community. I did not realize, there were light-skinned Hispanics, dark-skinned Hispanics, and, people who normally look like they would be Hispanic. I did not realize there were so many different shades of different cultures, because I just wasn't exposed to it. So I met this one girl who was blonde hair, blue-eyed, and she's Hispanic, and I was like, what? What in the world? And then I thought about it, because I was like, Cameron Diaz is Hispanic, and she's blonde hair and blue eyes, and I was like, what? Why didn't I realize that this was a thing? Just like you can see someone that you think, oh, you're black, and they're like, no, I'm not black, I'm actually Hispanic, or I'm Puerto Rican, or I'm Cuban, or, I was like, what? My mind was blown. So I think it's like, I mean, not that it's bad ignorance, because we're all ignorant on something, because I prefer ignorance over stupidity, because when you're ignorant on something, you can grow and become more knowledgeable and learn about it. So we're all ignorant on something. I am not friendly and not liking stupid people. Stupid people, they know and they do it anyway. So I'm like, you be like, oh, I don't know that, but I'm going to act like I don't know, so I'm going to treat you like, you look black, so you are black. Like, I'm like, come on. You know very well it's not true. Don't be stupid. So I am okay being around ignorant people who want to learn how not to be ignorant anymore. Because like I said, we're all ignorant on something. Ignorance is a thing that you just have because you gain knowledge to not be ignorant anymore. But stupidity is when you know and do it anyway. And so I can't be around stupid people. I can be around people who want to grow and learn, but I cannot be around stupid people, I swear. When they just treat you stupid or act stupid, I'm like, no, you need to get out of my circle. We're not in that. So yeah, the color of your skin. They think, oh, wait, you're not from Africa, right? And it's the same thing. Like, I heard the same thing. Like, I've seen, like, documentaries where they show twins, and one twin looks like they're so-called white, and the other one looks black or whatever, and they're treated differently by people. And you're like, what? But you're both siblings. You're twins. And there's even videos in here of people who have a different colored skinned child, and, like, the mother will be black, and the baby looks white, and they're like, that's not your child. And she's like, look, I gave birth to this kid. I know what came out of my body. I know who my child is. So, and you'll see people fighting and they're like, no. I'm like, oh my gosh, the ignorant comments that come on social media sometimes. I wonder how we can survive as people, I swear. Yeah, that was it. Josh Duggar, 19 Kids and Counting. Yes, that was the creepiest, I swear, the creepiest show. I was like, and nothing against you guys if you watch. I'm not condemning you. Like I said, reality has a place for, our society. But when I watched it, I was getting creepy vibes, not just from him, from the whole show. I was like, I can't watch this. I don't know what it is, but this is creeping me out. I don't like the feel of it. It was just so yeah, no, it's okay. Don't worry about, like, I have friends who are Mormon too, so I don't want you to feel bad. I'm not dissing Mormon at all. You go and do you. Stephanie Meyer is Mormon too, so I love the Mormon community. I'm like, you guys create some creative things. But I make fun of my Christianity people too, because I grew up Pentecostal holiness. And you guys know Pentecostal holiness, we can be really intense people when it comes to religion, and I make fun of it all the time, because I swear, I'm like, how do we not make fun of this? This is what comedians do so well, and this is another storytelling thing I wanted to talk to you guys about. Do you guys realize when we watch comedy and comedians, when they tell the punchline, right, they always tell a story we can relate to first, and then they give us the punchline that's humorous. And the reason why the punchline is humorous, whether it's true or not, it's humorous because we connected to the initial storytelling first, and then they exaggerated the punchline so we could laugh at it and find humor in it, right? So I think it's funny when you guys, next time you watch a stand-up comedian, or we'll go on Netflix and watch stand-up comedy, watch how the storytelling is done, because that's still storytelling. They're up there telling us stories like we're friends, right? So it's a good example of utilizing the storytelling experience. Watch how they use storytelling to connect with their audiences and relate to them. Because the first thing they tell you is going to be something like, oh, my mom used to beat my butt all the time when I was a kid. I did something wrong, she would come in, she'd be like, shh. And those of us who grew up in a household where, like, you know, beating your butt was a thing, we're like, oh yeah, my mom was like that. Now, some of you who may have had a parent who talked to you, like, no, we don't do that in this household. Like, good for you. But my mom did beat my butt when I talk smart. I had my mouth on me. I think I learned it from TV. I don't even think I knew what I was saying. I was just repeating what I heard on TV, and it was just like, she was like, no, you don't. So if the comedian opens with something like that, those of us who grew up with a parent who would smack the heck out of you, you did something wrong, we'd be like, oh yeah, or you had to go get the switch kind of thing. I don't think people do that as much because of child services, but still, it was a disciplinary method. So when the comedian says something like that, you're like, oh yeah, I remember that, and you relate to it. So then when they exaggerate something or say something crazy about their family, maybe if it's true or not, you laugh at that punchline. So the next time you guys watch comedians, watch how they deliver the punchline and tell the story leading into the punchline, because it's storytelling the same way we tell stories as writers, because they still write their comedy, they still write their sketches, they write their lead off into the punchlines, right? Saturday Night Live too. I don't recommend Saturday Night Live as much, because I used to love Saturday Night Live, but sometimes it's hit or miss. These days you never know which one's going to be funny, which one's not. There'll be like one skit that's hilarious, another skit that you're like, it's okay, and another skit that you're like, oh, that's funny, but then they took it too far. So it's like kind of hit or miss when it comes to Saturday Night Live. But I think for stand-up comedians, it's a good example of learning how people tell aspects. I want to tell your ex-Mormon here. Please don't get offended, guys. I did not mean to offend anyone who's Mormon or ex-Mormon. That was not my intention. I love everyone, equality, but it just felt like it was like, because you know how Hollywood will enhance religious things to make it seem really... I don't like how Hollywood does things, period, most of the time, because it's the way they portray religion is very cultish. I don't care what religion you're in, whether it's Christianity, whether it's Catholic, whatever you are. The way Hollywood portrays religion is very cultish in the way that they portray any religion. So I'm not really a fan of how they portray any kind of religion, yours, mine, whatever. But I just feel like sometimes they enhance it in a way so it's like, look, these are what Mormons are like. And I'm like, that's not all Mormonism. Just like not all of them are, I have people who are Jehovah's Witness. Not all Jehovah's Witnesses are the same. So I feel like Hollywood will take a stereotype and run with it, and they make everyone think that's how all people in that religion are, and I'm just like, nah, that's not right. Same thing with Wiccanism. I have friends who are spiritualists and Wiccans and consider themselves witches, and that's their religion. But, I mean, they don't go around casting evil spells on people, right? But most witch movies you see, they're like casting spells and doing horrible things, and then all these things. I mean, there's things like The Good Witch where they're not all bad, but it's like society and entertainment has a way of portraying things that are religious or spiritual in not the best way possible. So I think, I mean, either way, it's like it really sucks when you have a religion and society portrays it in a way. You'd love to be a comedian. I know. I always thought I'd be a good stand-up comedian. Like, you guys see that I joke about things all the time. I always thought I would be hilarious, but then I feel like I would get stage fright and be like, oh crap, what did I do? So, because I used to always watch what is that comedian show that used to come on? You guys know better than me. But that stand-up comedian show where they used to battle comedians and come on, they stopped coming on. I used to love that show so much. And a lot of the comedians who are still out came from that show, too. It's kind of like the Biggest Loser feel, but it was like more for comedians. So they would choose the best comic and stuff like that. I love that show so much. That was so awesome. Yeah, you guys had the wooden coat hanger and a wooden spoon belt and flip-flop. Yep, you guys know. You know exactly what I'm talking about then. Oh, that Sister Wives that's still on, but it's the first 3 wives that are divorced. Oh, wow. I heard that. I heard they got divorced. That was like, I never really watched it that often, but I was like, yeah, and that's the thing. I think, like, a lot of the shows had that, like, this is Mormonism feel on all the shows, and I was like, that doesn't feel like that's what Mormonism is. So I'm like, okay, what if you guys say so, go for it. But yeah, and the same thing with that one, the Sister Wives. I was like, I couldn't get into it, but I did like the one with what is his name? The guy from Twister, Bill Paxton, the guy who passed away. The one that he had where he had 3 wives, that show was good. Like, I was like, there was like all this stuff happening, and like, I was like, that was a really good show. I watched that whole series, and I was like, wow, that's intense. That was a good show. So, oh, your cousin's Wiccan, Wendy. Oh, that's cool. See, and I didn't learn about different religions really until I went to college, and everyone had different, like, viewpoints. And that was the first time I was exposed to different spiritualities and different religions and different concepts. And it was difficult at first because, you know, you think, like, your religion is the right one. Everything else is wrong. Or at least that's how some religions will teach you. And, I mean, I'm not condemning my church or anything. I think it was a great church to grow up in. I had a lot of great experiences in my church. But I think sometimes religion can stilt you if you don't feel like you can open up to other people and feel like you have to always convert them. Like, that's one thing I never liked about going door to door and, like, converting people. I was like, I don't want to convert someone who doesn't want to be converted. It feels like I'm forcing them, like, hey, you need to be a Christian or you go to hell. Oh my gosh. Like, that would scare me. I would actually not want to be a part of a religion because you just told me I'm going to, like, go to eternal damnation if I don't come to your church. So I feel like sometimes it can be, like, extreme. It's not everyone's that extreme. Some are really good and really helpful and really more, like, want to help you feel better and more so than, like, try to convert you. So it just really depends on your experience. Like, I had a good experience growing up. It wasn't a horrible experience, but I think my spirituality definitely strengthened more when I went to college, when I was able to find who I was spiritually, more so than saying, this is my religion. I'm more like, I'm spiritually inclined on how I connect with things. And I think that can help you be a better writer, too, because once you know who you are as a person, you're able to find your voice and find your true narrative when you're telling your story, especially if you're doing nonfiction, right? So, let's see. Oh, she's a wonderful woman. So yeah, I didn't learn until I had Wiccan friends, and they were like, yeah, we're not all casting evil spells and stuff, which, again, I blame Hollywood, because, like, I saw The Craft. I love The Craft. Great movie. But when you see The Craft, you're like, oh, you're Wiccan? Oh, you're, like, from The Craft? You're, like, causing spells and doing things and making potions, and, like, again, messed up my head when it came to Wiccanism. I didn't really see that Wiccanism was, like, a spirituality, whereas, like, you know, it's not just like a form of life or like doing spells kind of thing. It's like a belief system. And actually the heart of Wiccanism, I didn't realize it, is actually do no harm to people. So the parts where they take Wiccanism and make it like intense, I think that's why I got my idea for writing witches in my stories. Because I was like so taken back by like, wow, they're good witches and they do these good things and like they're like promoting the earth and nature, and it's just so cool. Like when you learn about things and you're like, you realize your misconceptions about things were wrong. It's like really cool to like learn the truth about things. So I think it's kind of cool. So, you ever been that kind of person like going after people like, hey, convert, right? You love Charm, but the original. Oh, me too. I loved Charm. I loved the original Charm. The remake wasn't bad. Like, I still like that. I love that they were kind of more open with, like, the relationships and the interactions, too, and making it more diverse. That was really cool. But I love the original. There's something about the original Charm that was really awesome, right? Just like Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Angel that had the same feel to it. Like the old 90s feel, romance, you know, paranormal romance kind of thing. It's like they all had a certain feel to it that kind of you can't get now if you make a new series. It's just like, I mean, you like that old, like, not widescreen view. You're like, oh yeah, this is before we had widescreen, so everything's like small. There's something about that when you go back, you're like, oh yeah, they haven't formatted this properly because it's too old. So it's kind of neat. Did you miss an update on the Discord channel? No, you're all good. The only thing I posted today was saying I was coming on live. And then, like I said, I'll be grading. Keep saying grading. I'll be reading your discussion posts for the next couple of days and commenting on them. So get them in by tonight, by 11:59 p.m. You guys will be good. You haven't missed anything. You're all good. You're all up to date. And like I said, if you missed this live, don't worry. I'm going to be posting it online, so you guys will have it. So don't worry. You'll have it to utilize for sure. So, You really liked the last season of Buffy, just like last. I did too. It was like, I don't know if it was because they had all the Slayers coming together and it kind of took away from the solo line that she had, but I don't know. I didn't really enjoy the last season either. I didn't like, and then the way it wrapped up felt too neat and tidy, if you will. I was like, we went on this whole journey for years with Buffy, and you're just like, all right, the Hellmouth's gone, we're good. What? Like, no, it can't be that easy. And first of all, you had all these Slayers around you to do things, and I'm like, I felt like they were just there for nothing. I was like, hey, we're just all together as Slayers, and I was like, they weren't there. Like, it wasn't like they all combined and used their Slayer power and do all this thing to do something amazing and magical with the Hellmouth. They were just like, the Hellmouth is gone, it's crumbling, it's gone. I was like, okay. The whole time, this Hellmouth was like the main storyline or antagonist in the whole entire series, and you just got rid of it that easily. I think I wasn't satisfied by how they wrapped it up. It was just crazy. The dude, the producer, never lets relationships last. Yeah, and he had his own troubles too. Didn't he have like some scandals with how he treated women on set too? And I was like, oh no, he didn't. That's crazy. Angel and Buffy should have ended together. Yeah, I believe that too. I believe that too. I do. Maybe they missed the opportunity with Dawn. Oh, I know. Just like I said with the spinoff of Twilight, how she missed out. They could have done a spinoff series and did really well if they did a spinoff series from Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I know Angel was that spinoff series too, but it was like more on the vampire side. It wasn't more on the kind of like Slayer side and stuff like that. I think it would have been so cool. So yeah, I'm with you. I think it could have been done a lot better. And also, I would have loved to see how that show would have been done from a female perspective, because it was a male perspective's idea, yes, and it was a great show. But it's really cool to see how women storytellers will shift things and focus on certain things that some men don't think about, because obviously they're men. They can't think about like deep emotional things like a woman could. So I think it would have been interesting to see how those shows would have been done if a woman had been the producer and the creator. Now, I know they had some women writers on the show, because when I would see it, I would see women writers. So I know women were involved in the show. But I think it would have been cool to see who if the creator of the show would have been a woman instead of a man, how it would have turned out. So that would have been cool to see, for sure. Buffy and Spike. Oh, you're a Buffy and Spike person. See, I do think Angel and Buffy should have ended up together. And then when they had Angel, then I thought he should have ended up with, what's her name? The other girl who became the telepathic entity. And I was like, oh, they should end up together. And then I was like, I don't know. I do think Angel and Buffy really could have lasted. And it was like, but then I think that's when also we had a surge of paranormal romance too, because people were like, I don't like this. I think I should write a story of how this should have ended up. So this is why you get a surge of things. Just like with 50 Shades of Grey, we had a surge of BDSM stories. So people were like, I'm going to write my own BDSM story and show you what BDSM really is. Like, it's not just this light little thing. You have a room of toys. I'm like, no, that is not the BDSM community. You think it's the BDSM community, but it's not. I'm going to show you the real one. So people were trying to correct it and make it better, be like, this is what it's like. So yeah, I think it's really interesting to see how people spin off, for sure. They should have let her have superpowers to help Buffy. True, that would have been helpful. And then like have like I love that character of Dawn. She was a great aspect of like the sister holding it down, especially after their mom died and everything. I do think it would have been cool having aspect. Oh, he's the producer of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. He did the same with their relationships. So is that getting deep into the heart of him saying he doesn't believe in relationships? Is that what that is? It's like, we don't believe in love. We don't believe in relationships. It's kind of cool. Oh my gosh. Do underdeveloped social skills affect someone's writing negatively? Oh, that's a good question. Well, here's the thing. Because however you grow up in your environment, whether it's positive or negative, whether you have your own, again, like traumatic experiences or intense experiences, or whether you're shy, you don't like social interactions, I don't think it can really hurt your writing. I think it can add to it, because sometimes we write the kind of things that we want to be. We write the kind of characters we wish we were. Like, all of our characters have a little bit of us in them, because they came from us, right? They may not be exactly like us, but they have a little hint of us in them in some way, because they're part of us. So I think, not that underdeveloped social skills can hurt your writing, but I think it can shape how your voice comes out. I don't want to say it hurts it, because I think anything that we live through, we go through, how we experience life, that dictates how our voice comes out in writing. So I think anything that's happened to you, kind of like how my roommate says it, she's like, things don't happen to you, they happen for you, right? So if you see it like that in a positive way, like if you don't have strong social skills, that doesn't mean your characters are not social. Like my characters do things all the time that I don't do. Like, I mean, I don't have magical powers and they have magical powers. I don't have like, multiple sisters who go out and go to like different parties outside and stuff like that. Like certain things that we have our characters do doesn't dictate how we are. So I don't think it hurts it. I think it can help shape it and how it comes out. Definitely. So that's how I see it for sure. Just like get rid of the whining baby girls. The whining baby girls he always had in his shows. That's hilarious. I love that. You show what you know. Exactly. And here's the thing. You show what you know, but I also think when people say write what you know, I think it's limiting. You don't have to just write what you know. But if you want to write something other than what you know, learn it. Learn it so you do know it, and then write it. Don't just stick with like, I'm just going to write what I know, write what I'm aware of and what I'm, comfortable with. But then you can't challenge yourself to write things you don't know by going out there and learning those things, diving into those things, and then coming back and saying, now I'm going to write that thing. Because that's how we genre hop, right? We learn new genres and we're like, oh, that's kind of cool. I want to write like that. So just writing what you know, I think, is stifling. Write what you know, yes, but write also what you want to know and what you want to learn about and what you want to discover so you can implement it into new things that you can write about. So that's how I see about writing for sure. I truly hope your memoir isn't whiny or oh poor me. That's why you want editors. That's why you want beta readers. You want people to read it outside of you so they can tell you if that's the case. Like, always have outside readers to read your work so you can see, hey, is this in brand for what I'm writing? Does it sound like it's good? Does it sound like it's hitting the spot? And that helps. Like, I have my own readers too. I have readers as well. I have friends who read in the genre that I write in, so I let them read it. I have a list of people who are my art team. I don't really have beta readers, but I just have people that I trust to read my work and check on it and let me know. And then I have my editors. I have the editors check my work too, and then that kind of helps me. So I think that'll help for sure. It's about your neurodivergence. So you, and that's the case then, Wendy. Like, try to see if you can find an editor who, not saying you have to find a neurodivergent editor, that maybe you are, like, hey, do any of you editors have any neurodivergence, like, aspects? You could, but I don't want to feel like you're calling out, like, hey, you're just saying, I only want a neurodivergent editor. But try to find an editor who is aware of neurodivergence, aware of the spectrum. Because then if you're talking about things that you've gone through as a neurodivergent person, then they'll understand what you're trying to say and how you're trying to connect to people. And I know a lot of times when you are neurodivergent, a lot of times it can be hard connecting to people emotionally when you're trying to talk to them or socialize with them or write for them, right? So if that's the case, ask them, say, hey, as a neurodivergent person, I feel like I may be too in my head, or I'm not thinking this clearly, or thinking about how my audience will read this. Can you tell me your honest opinion of how this comes off to you? And this is why I say get people you trust to read your work too, because they can read it. If they know you and know your experience and know things that you've gone through, they can read it and be like, oh, I think you wrote this well, or I think you wrote this in an honest way. I don't think it was whiny or complaining in any way. That'll definitely help you for sure. So, you got a friend you no longer talk to, she ripped you apart. Oh my gosh. And yeah, see, that's why I say definitely find someone you trust. And that's a shame, because it was someone you thought you could trust and you gave it to her anyway. And that's why sometimes it is better to have someone you don't know to read your work, because that way it's not like if they give you feedback and rip you apart, you're like, oh my gosh, well, tell me how you really feel. Especially since it's your memoir. If it's your memoir, you definitely want to be careful with who you share that with. I would say, let's see, what advice do I have if that's the case? I don't want you to ruin any more friendships or anything. I would just say, before you offer to give it to someone to read, have a conversation with them. Say, hey, you know me, you know my life and things like this. Ask them, hey, if I gave you this to read, would you give me constructive feedback on it? And some people don't know, this is the other problem too. When you don't give it to another writer, they do not know how to be constructive in their feedback. which means they don't know to give you positive information and give you information on how you can improve the negative. That's the thing about constructive feedback. It's not like, this is horrible, your character sucks, I don't love your dialogue. That's not constructive feedback. But if I say, your dialogue feels a little weak here, maybe you can strengthen it in a way so we can see more of this character, or have them reveal more about themselves so we can feel more details. Or, right here seems a little stilted. I don't really see what you're trying to do here, or see what you're trying to say. Maybe you should give more vivid details here, or give more intimate scenes so we can see your vulnerability, right? That's constructive feedback, guys. So when you're giving constructive feedback, don't just say this is bad, or this is horrible, or this is weak. Say, this feels weak, but I think this could work if you did this, or give them ways that they can do it so that way it doesn't feel like it's harsh you criticizing them, right? So you need to find out the people around you who can give you constructive feedback. You may want to do this. Give them a test. Give them like a sample memoir of someone else, not yours. Like give them like a chapter of something else that isn't yours that seems like it's really intimate or really intense, or maybe another neurodivergent author who writes, and just give them a chapter and say, hey, can you just give me feedback on this and tell me what you think? That way you kind of test them to see how they respond to it. And if they respond to it in a way that you're like, dag, you were really hardcore with that, or you were kind of harsh with that, you'll know, hey, don't give you my memoir, right? Kind of like you're testing the waters, if you will. But that way you can see how they respond to writing similar to yours, so you can be like, no, I don't trust you with my writing. It's what you just said. I don't trust you with my writing. So before you give someone your writing, if you really are not sure how they're going to respond, or you don't trust them to be a good, solid ally for you to give you constructive feedback, give them a test. Like, I know you don't have to tell them it's a test, but like, hey, I just want you to read this and tell me what you think of this, and give me some notes. Like, it's not mine. You can tell them if you want to, but just give me some notes and tell me what you would improve, what you think is weak, what you think is strong. Just give me some feedback and see how they respond to that person. They don't have to act like it's a test and write notes or anything. They can just give you verbal feedback. But that way you can kind of see, hey, I'm not giving you my work because I don't want you to read it. So, let's see. You asked her because she's a counselor, but triggered your PTSD. Oh, wow. That's on her then. That has nothing to do with you, because as a counselor, she should know how to deliver information that can help you be productive. So that is definitely on her, especially if she's a counselor. She's professional at what she's supposed to do and give you advice. So as a counselor, that is on her part for not being a good friend and a good person to help you constructively. So I'm sorry you had to go through that, though. She made you feel like you could trust her. That's something you need to know, how to build trust. Yeah, definitely. And so here's the thing. Like, if that's the thing you struggle with, maybe don't give it to anyone you know right now. Just use the text-to-speech tool that I talk about. Maybe see if you can find beta readers who are away from you and don't know you personally. So when they give you feedback, it's not them attacking you. It feels like they're just going after the manuscript, right? That's why beta readers are so great, because it's like they don't know you. They don't work with you. They're not biased to you as a person because they're not friends with you. They don't know you. So if you get beta readers who are not close to you, it can kind of help you get perspective and not feel like it's a personal attack. So that may be something for sure. That's the bane of your existence. Oh, don't let it be. Like I told you, that is not on you. You should not feel guilty about it. That is on her. And besides, you're in my group, so I'm gonna support you anyway. So I'm gonna be like, hey, where do we find this girl? Go after her. No, I'm not gonna say that. We're on TikTok. I don't want to be banned. I can do to her what I told my students. If they didn't do their homework, I used to tell them, hey, if you don't do your homework, I'm coming to your door. I'm going to B-slap you, and B-slap you is both front and backhand, and walk away. Because when you get B-slapped, you know you did something wrong. No one just randomly comes up to you on the street and B-slaps you, right? You get B-slapped, it's because you're like, oh, crap, I know I did something wrong. So I could just be like, where does she live? Let me go B-slap her and walk away. But I may get arrested, so I don't want to go to jail. But just know in my heart, I would have B-slapped her for you. All right, I would have B-slapped her for you, and I would have been supportive. Be like, all right, she needs a B-slap. Can you tell you what it means to quester your writing? Oh wow, I've never heard that one either. Quester your writing? That's a new term. I tell you guys, sometimes you give me terms, and I'm like, what? Let's see. Oh, you know what? Hey, let's use ChatGPT. Let's learn together. Let's use it as a learning experience. want to try this. This is going to be interesting. Hey, Amazonia, I have a question for you.
Of course. What's your question?
What does it mean to quester your writing? What does that mean?
Quester isn't a common writing term, but if someone is talking about questering their writing, they might mean something related to a quest, like a journey or structured approach to writing. It could mean going on a writing quest, setting a goal or challenge for your writing, like a personal journey to complete a project, deep diving into research, exploring themes, ideas, or world building before starting a story, a character's journey, structuring a story around a hero's quest, common in fantasy and adventure genres. Did you hear this term in a specific context? I can help break it down further.
So did you? Did you hear it in a different context so you can break it down further? I don't know if that helps at all, but I was like, quester, and she said it's not a common writing term, so maybe that's the thing. Someone who said it may not have been using it in the proper way, or, let's see, quester. So we just look at that as a definition by itself. So it says a quester is someone who searches or inquiries. For example, you might describe someone searching for a hidden treasure or a quester. So in the sense of memoir, then, maybe they didn't feel like you were grounded enough in your writing and your nonfiction. So maybe I felt like you should have given your, well, it's not your character, it's you, if it's your memoir, but give more purpose to why you're writing it. Because you said you wanted to inspire people and help them in their past experiences, right? So if that's the case, show more depth for why you're showing us each scene. What is the purpose of showing us this scene right now? How is that going to help us connect with you on a certain emotional level? Then the next scene, why is this scene important? Because a lot of times, sometimes when we write nonfiction, we feel like we need to tell every single story. We need to tell this story, and that story, and that story, and that story. But sometimes you only need to tell certain stories to get your point across so people can connect with you and find the meaning and purpose of what you're writing. So I would say, rather than thinking, because she said quester is more like looking in fantasy and things like that, I don't think so. If you're looking at quester in the sense of literature and writing, it's more about giving your narrator, which would be you, purpose. What is the purpose of going through all these things or reliving all of them through your writing? Because that's what you're doing when you're in memoir. That's why I say sometimes doing memoir would be helpful to do it in third person because it's so close to you and sometimes it's traumatic, right? And I think I remember you telling me it's about like traumatic business experience you went through and stuff like that, right? So if that's the case, what is the purpose of each one? And this one, I want you to see what not to do. And this one, I want you to see, this is what I did right, but it still went wrong. And this one, I want you to see, I did the right things and it went right, but I still suffered some, fallback from things that came afterwards. So each scene has a purpose or a quest leading into the ultimate goal or your ultimate ending of how you're going to end your memoir. So a lot of times with memoirs, they're little sequins or little stories, but they all tie together to the bigger picture too. So that's something you may want to consider. Each story or scene you create, what is the overall bigger picture or bigger journey of your character arc, which is you, that you want your reader to get and connect with? So that may be something to think about for sure. Let's see. She told you needed to quester your book writing. Okay. It was a memoir, so the other thing she said you needed to entwine more of your relationship with Jesus. I don't know. I mean, that's not the purpose of what you're trying to do, right? I mean, don't be putting Jesus in there if Jesus doesn't need to be in there. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm not saying anything, not like, God forgive me if I'm saying anything crazy. But I mean, I'm just saying, don't make it religious if it's not meant to be religious. 'Cause I know you mentioned you're a Mormon, but that's not about your experience, or your Mormonism isn't like the heart of your experience. Don't like force it in there because she's like, hey, put Jesus in your writing. I mean, maybe it was a part of your healing experience. If that is, that's fine. But I think when someone tells you, like, put more, it's kind of like saying someone telling you, put more dialogue in your writing. You're like, well, where? Like, is there a certain place you want me to put dialogue or Jesus in? Or, like, do you want Jesus in every chapter? Or do you want dialogue in every chapter? Like, it's kind of hardcore when people tell you to do that because you're like, can you just tell me where you thought that was lacking and where I can improve? This is what I mean by constructive feedback, guys. Because a lot of times you may have to initiate questions to get that constructive feedback. A lot of times people don't know how to give you constructive feedback because they've never done it before. They've never taken a creative writing class, so they don't know how constructive feedback is supposed to be shaped. So you may have to teach them how to give constructive feedback so they can give you the best information to help you. So sometimes when people will give you advice, Don't feel like you have to take everyone's advice. Same thing when you guys get reviews. You do not have to implement all the reviews you get, information that you get. It can just be the information you think will be helpful for you to be a stronger writer. Not all advice people give you is good advice. Not all feedback people give you is good feedback. Feedback is meant to be a combination of things, and reviews are meant to be a combination of things to help you say, hey, okay, people felt this way about the writing. They saw this in the writing, and then you pick and choose what will help you because you're like, oh, that makes sense. I can make this stronger. I can dial back on this. And then you kind of make the overall call on what's good for your writing and good for your structure. So I think that's really important for sure. You had 7 chapters or lies, and the 8th was how you're coping with the life. Lies or lies in life, how you're coping in life. So the first 7 was all the issues you had with those lies and those negative traumatic experiences, and the 8th chapter is more about how you dealt with those negative experiences. Is that what you're saying? The 8th chapter is sharing what you do to cope with your mental health. Okay. He is lightly in there in the ending. Your brain doesn't work that way. Her profession was an editor. Okay. Yeah, I mean, like I said, although you cope with life, maybe religion helps you cope with life, I don't feel like you need to force Jesus in every chapter. That seems like that's very extreme advice. Because, how are you going to force Jesus in every chapter if, it wasn't about a religion aspect or a connection with spirituality in each chapter, right? So, please don't do that if that's not something you feel comfortable with. Don't force Jesus. Jesus probably doesn't even want to be forced in there. He's like, please don't force me in places you don't need to force me in. He's probably like, what? You're gonna force me in all the time? That sounds so weird. I keep saying force Jesus like it's some kind of weird altercation. I probably should stop saying that. I won't get banned. So yeah, I don't know. So yeah, so I would say go back to it and ask yourself, this may be it, because you said the first 7 chapters go over the lies, and then the 8th chapter goes over how you cope with it in mental health. What if you did it this way? What if after each chapter, now I know you're writing a memoir, because memoir is different from a step-by-step book, but what if you treat it a little bit like a step-by-step book, and how you end each chapter or each life segment, you show a learning principle in there. Because keep in mind that the self-help doesn't have to be, here are steps to become better. It can be a principle or something you learned from that situation, and you kind of reflect on it at the end of each chapter. That way, when you get to the end, it's not like you're saving the reflection to the end in the last chapter. You're more like using each ending of each chapter to kind of reflect a little bit, and then the 8th chapter is your big reflection. Does that make sense? So what you can do is use each story, tell each story the way it's meant to be told, and at the end you can kind of come back to the reader and kind of have a one-on-one with them and at this point I realized this happened or that connected to this. And it doesn't have to be a big connection. It doesn't have to be a big reflection where you're going all out and be I found my self-worth or I discovered this. It doesn't have to be a true reveal. It just can be a little bit of reflection of how you saw that the situation was important, and that leads to the next chapter where you had another issue, and that leads into the next issue. So each one is interconnected and kind of interweaving each other until you get to the last chapter where you go into the big reflection and how it had a big impact on your mental health and how you were able to cope with that overall. So that would be something to connect with for sure. Hey Ryan, how are you? I don't know why it hid that. I realized I can keep things from being hidden. I just realized that recently. I realized I can click on your thing and say approve comment, but oh, I see, because you're questioning if I'm a professor. I'm a real Professor Ryan. How are you? Nice to meet you. I'm a professor by day. I am really Professor Martin. So I don't know if that was meant to be a sly, are you a professor? I'm a real professor in real life. So yeah, I'm really Professor Martin. My students call me Professor Martin. I'm a real English instructor by day, so I'm a real professor. You're very welcome, Wendy. I know it can be hard to do that for sure. So yeah, let me know if I can help. So. Alright guys, I know I've been here for almost 3 hours. I have been helping you guys for a bit. Hopefully you got really good content. Tell them. Yeah, I'm going to tell them. I worked hard for my undergraduate degrees and 2 undergraduate degrees. I didn't double major. I double degree in English and journalism. Then I went to get my MFA in creative writing. I have been teaching for 12 years. So if you need proof, I got the proof. All right. I got social proof. Don't test me. All right. Because as a black woman in academia, it's already hard enough. I will tell you, I will come and fight for my credentials if I have to. Same thing, people be coming on here you are a USA Today bestseller. Yes, right here. Look what it says. See that says? USA Today best-selling author. I did it. With other people, yes, but I did it. So don't test me. I will come at you. So, So I'm just saying, I worked hard for what I did in my life. So I'm not going to have people like question me and be like, what? No, I don't believe, you can believe whatever you want. We're on social media. You can just scroll. I don't care. I'm good. I'm not going to have to define my reality for anyone. So like I said, I'm here to help you guys. If people come on here, they don't want to help, I'm not for them. Just like I tell you guys, your readers are not for you. If they say negative things, not everybody's for me when they come on here. And that's okay. I'm okay with that. I don't need to be loved by everyone in the world. That seems like a lot of stress. I don't want to be loved by the whole world. I'm good. So people can hate me, they can dislike me, they can think it's weird me wearing these things. I'm not for them. And that's okay. So I had to come with a reality of who I am as a person. I grew through that with my going to school, learning my teaching abilities, learning what I could do and can do. And I feel secure in myself now. So when people come at me, I'm like, I'm going to fight for it. I'm going to do it. So 3 hours is wild. I know, right? I told you. I'm on here for anywhere from 2.5 to 3 hours now. It used to be 1.5 hours to 2 hours. Now it's more like 2 to 3 hours. It depends on the day. Depends on the time. So... but I do it because I mean, when I'm on here, it doesn't even feel like I'm on here for 2 and 3 hours, guys, because I love interacting with you. I love educating you. I love helping you. So it's not really hard to come on here and be here for you. Same thing on Discord. I created because I wanted to be there for you outside this app so you guys can find me, connect with me, ask me questions. I am here to help you. And if you, like I said, if you purchase something from me in the future or do a consult one-on-one, work with me in my mentorship, I'd love to have you in there. But you do not have to be a part of this community and have to pay anything to be a part of this community and this experience. If you're ready to do something financially with me and work with me so I can help you publish your book, help you write your book, I am more than happy to help you. But I'm never going to be here and be like, you better buy something from me or you better get off my live. I've seen people do that too. Like, if you're not here to buy, you better just get off. I'm like, okay, well, dang, I'll get off because I don't even know what you're selling. I don't think I'm interested anymore because you're coming at me hard. And I'm like, I'm still going to promote my stuff. I'm still going to talk about it for sure. But I'm never going to be the hard sell person. I'm going to tell you what I have, what's there for you, how it's there to help you. And if you're interested, great. I'd love to help you as a resource. And I'd love for you, to buy something from me that's going to help you take it to the next level. But if that's not for you, I'm happy to just have you on the live. I'm happy to have you in the community, guys. So either way, and maybe in the future, you'll buy something from me and we'll have that relationship. So either way, I'm just happy to know you guys. I'm happy to help you. I'm happy to be a resource for you so you can get your writing done this year in any way possible, for sure. Oh, thank you, Wendy. I'm grateful for you too. I'm so grateful for all you guys and all the likes. You guys have got me to, oh my gosh, almost 20,000 likes. Maybe I should stay on here till we get to 20,000 likes. Let's get to 20,000 likes, guys. That's so cool. You guys are awesome. You guys are amazing. I appreciate you guys so much. So, I mean, like I said, I love teaching. I love being an educator. So if I can help you guys, I'm so happy to be here for you and to be a resource for you because I know how hard it is out there. I know how noisy it can be. Everybody's coming at you saying, hey, buy my program, buy my course. And yeah, I'm actually going to make a few courses for you guys to help you in the future. And they probably will be paid, but I'm going to try to make sure they're reasonably priced so you guys can get them when you can. But I want to make sure it's affordable things because I know what it's like to want to buy education and learn, but it's like you don't have the money right now. Like, oh my gosh, I want to buy that, but I can't get it. So I want to make sure that everything that I give you as far as education is accessible and they're affordable too, so you can utilize it and help you on your journey to writing and publishing. So I appreciate you guys so much, and I thank you so much for always being on here and working with me, asking me questions, trusting me to deliver you the most qualified answer I can. Like I tell you guys, I'm as honest with you as I possibly can be. I do not know everything. I don't wish to know everything. Again, I think that's just as burdensome as being loved by everyone in the world. That's burdensome. I don't want that burden of knowing everything in the world, but what I'm going to try to do is always try to be the best professor, the best instructor, the best, advisor I can be for you so you can grow and find your path as a writer and as an author. Because what I want for all of you this year is to publish your book. I want all of you to publish your book or get that story out there. I want this to be your year that you find your true audience. And if you can do that, that would be awesome. Yeah, we got the 20K. Oh my gosh, this deserves a cheer. Thank you. We did it. All right, so I'm going to head out. I'm not sure. I may be on later tonight because I've had a lot of energy today, but I have a lot of grading and stuff to do too. So I may try to be on tonight. If I do come on tomorrow, it'll probably be morning, early afternoon, but Mondays are kind of busy for me, so I may not be on tomorrow. I will definitely be back on Tuesday. All right, so check with me. Check the Discord. I will let you know if I come on live that day or if I am going to come on live. I'll start posting the Discord when I come on, so you guys can check on there and be like, hey, you're coming out this time. So always check the Discord. I think that's going to be the best way to notify you guys when I'm coming on live. So thank you so much, Wendy. I appreciate that. And thank you, Katie. I appreciate you too. You're awesome, as always. All you guys are just amazing. I appreciate you. I'm glad you're a part of the community. If you're not a part of the community, join the Discord. I'll post it one more time before I go. And then you're welcome to join the free community and be a part of the movement. We'd love to have you. It's called the Storytellers Tea Room. And then I'll pin that on there. Oh, your mom's live now. Okay, I was wondering if your mom was going to come live. I didn't know if she was going to come back on live at 3 p.m. or not. Okay, I'll head over there after I leave here so I can check in with her too. So I'll see you guys over there in a bit. But the rest of you, I hope you have a wonderful evening. I hope you have a great rest of the day. I'm going to start reading your discussion post tonight and tomorrow. And you'll know I read it because I'll like it and I'll respond to it. But for the intros, I don't respond to it because I don't like the fact that every time I respond to someone, it puts it at the bottom. And I feel like it's disrupting the flow of everyone putting their intros in there. So I'll just like it. But in the discussion part, I'll be underneath your comment. I like that better. That's why I created a forum, because I like that structure a lot better. So I'll be replying to all of your discussion posts and things over the next couple of days. I showed you guys how to do that and get that assignment done too if you had troubles with it. So do it, get it done, and I will check in with you guys later. You have a good night. Oh, she said 7? Okay. All right, cool. I'll hop over there and check on her and see how she's doing. But you guys have a great evening. I love you guys so much. And thank you so much for your trust and support. And I hope I can help you in your journey. And as always, I hope your writing comes alive, survives, and thrives. Have a good night, everybody. Take care. Bye.